And we should be up.
Thinking about it.
Can I see the rundown so I know what the hell we're going to talk about today?
That's a nice opening thing on the. As soon as we go up, what are we talking about?
They're not new here.
There we are.
That's back to us. The stack is higher.
Okay.
That would actually be pretty funny.
Or I could just look at the show notes. Oh, that's probably not open. The desktop or something?
So, if I look at my phone in a concerned manner and then just get up and leave,
Yeah.
you know, probably know why.
Yep.
Surface Pro.
They'll just...
Everybody moves over one.
It's like musical chairs, except backwards. Does that whiteboard still have...
It has stuff Tom drew on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, correct.
Still Tom drawing board?
I bought, I had to beat a $35 minimum to get same day order, so I bought dry erase board cleaner. We'll see if that helps. And then I bought I bought the big Post-it notes. You see the one that's up there that's like big?
Yeah, that's pretty big.
It's sticky the wrong direction.
It is.
So
Well,
I
it's
bought
a 4x6
more-
instead of a 6x4.
Yeah, turns out that's the designation.
What is the designation?
That's a 4x6 Post-it note. You can buy
So the
6
sticky's on the
by
4.
Post-it notes.
Oh, that camera's not level.
So 6x4 Post-it notes will be here.
Oh, no, it's not.
I mean, who knew that was a thing?
Nobody.
I
Zero people. Not even the people at 3M.
Yeah, there you go, Alex. That's heading in the right direction.
No, most office workers know that pretty well.
Are Post-it notes really, like, who uses Post-it notes this size anyway?
I do.
For what? What do you write? Books?
No, I
There's
get
an
mad at
Arcane Man
users
boards.
and write in large letters to stop sticking their bloody passwords where I just stole it from and replaced it
Well, I
with a
could put
sticky
so
note.
many passwords on that.
And some people do.
I usually just get a magic marker and write PEBCAC on it and stick it to somebody's chair or keyboard.
HR gets mad
Doesn't
when I
seem
do that
very
on people's
nice.
foreheads. It's weird. but-
PEBCAC.
Close, close.
They won't let me keep my cattle prod either.
XG5.
You get
Jeremy, I assume you newsed up that other, what was it,
What did I
TweetTown
do?
or somebody? On the XG5? Alex, you were telling me about XG5. Where did that one come from?
I think Jeremy posted it.
It is a new challenger appears. Toshiba's XG5 is hot on Samsung's heels.
Oh yeah, that was me.
hot.
That sounds like a Jeremy title.
Can eat so healthy is the comment from the chat.
Yeah, I looked on Trello. I didn't see it. I don't know if you got it or not, but figured I'd
No,
stick
I
it up there
haven't.
anyways.
I've got to test it. I just need to be in one place for more than 5 minutes so I can actually,
How long have you had that SSD?
like a week and a half, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
This needs
super
some
new.
more.
Some more.
More.
Or goodness.
This is Crown Royal Black.
How was it?
It's a good Canadian whiskey.
It's okay. I'm not a big
There's
Crown.
no such thing as a good Canadian whiskey. I'm asking how it is.
Ooh, shots fired.
It's okay. It's fine. It's
You've never
it's
had 40
serviceable.
Creek?
I have not.
It's good.
I think Crown Royal lost all of its appeal
When
once.
people started drinking real bourbon.
No, when it became like it was like the
What's a hater tonight?
it was like
Oh,
the
it's a rye.
it was
It's
like
not-
the
that's my
fancy
thing.
whiskey for a little while, and then like people that wear their pants down low and hats sideways started carrying money in the purple bags that Crown Royal comes in and stuff. It's like,
Oh,
you know,
we never had that up here.
yeah, that sounds like a distinct American cultural
Hey, Crown
we'll
Royal
call it
bags are great for
phenomenon. I
anything.
call it.
Yeah,
Say
but they're
again.
mostly like bolt bags, tool bags, dice
Yeah.
bags.
Yeah, it's when people
Change
started
bags,
using them.
or if you're in college, you fill it up with bottle cap
Things.
tops from all the beer you drank.
Yeah,
So you
these
can
were all
throw
the
that
reasons
right
why it's
there
no
in
longer.
Hex Chat. Actually took best whiskey of the year last year.
What did?
Crown Royal Northern Harvest Rye. Jim Murray gave it the World Whiskey of the Year.
All right.
Wow.
Wow.
Good luck finding it. Not only is it limited edition, but getting that recommendation, good friggin' luck.
Have you ever had that bourbon that I posted a picture of last night, Josh?
What?
Have you ever had that bourbon that I posted a picture of last night? What was it?
No.
Bow and Barrel and Bow.
Sounds like a hipster
Barrel and
restaurant.
Bullet
No,
or
I
something.
have not.
Sounds
Yeah.
like a restaurant in San Francisco.
Oh, correct. It is exactly that. It is a like. So all you do as a liquor company today is you take your existing bourbon, or craft beer or whatever garbage you're trying to sell, and you rebrand it as a boutique, limited run, slightly higher cost, but not too high to scare people off, right? Like $50 a bottle instead of $25 a bottle, like that type of difference. And it becomes special. And there you go.
To special people.
For special people.
Now I have to look up the list.
Hey,
There
at
it
least
is.
Wyoming whiskey still is only $40 a bottle if you get their base version.
Missing has asked me to do a Vega Frontier Edition plus FreeSync compared to a GTX 1060 with G-Sync experience test. That's good.
You may send those to
That's
me,
good.
and I'll
That's
take
good.
care of that.
That's pretty good. All right. We got show notes up. We got all the people here.
Holy cow.
I sent out my tweets.
Now I'm trying to find the list.
Josh is talking
What
to a
is your
ghost.
list? Your bourbon list? Oh my God, all these emails. How these emails.
What else?
It's amazing how
but-
it's shocking to me how when if you're like actually trying to accomplish a task during the day, how many emails just show up
Mm-hmm.
and need to be answered with non-one word responses. That's kind of my thing. Kelly gets mad at me. My mom gets the worst. Like if my mom sends me an email, which she often does because she's a personal assistant, so she sits in front of her computer all day as well. If she's emailing me about something that doesn't need to be answered immediately, I do the same thing I do with every email. I put a star next to it, and I go, I will get to that when I come to a pause point, and then I go through emails as much as I can, and then I get distracted and I do something else. If I don't respond to her in 45 minutes, I'm getting a call. Inevitably.
Don't answer the call either.
Indubitably.
Yeah, that would be like, if it were my daughter, I would do that, right? Like, I'm trying to teach you patience. It's my mom. It's not quite the same.
Teach her patience.
All right, are we ready to do a show?
No.
Yeah. Wait, what do you mean no?
Tough, we're doing it. What are we on? 460,
do it live.
July 26th. Is it the 26th?
60.
Yep.
460.
Oh, GTX 460.
Okay.
Yep.
3, 2. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the PC Perspective Podcast. This is episode 460 being recorded on July 26, 2017. I'm Ryan Shrout.
I'm Jeremy Hellstrom.
I'm Josh Walrath.
I'm Alan Malventano.
Welcome to the show, everybody. It is a week that has gone by, so we will talk about it on this show.
This is the show where we talk about things and we cover topics.
I can tell by looking at the rundown on the side that we need to teach Alex a little bit more about abbreviating or shortening some of the listings, perhaps for that Zalman keyboard that takes up 4 lines of the rundown.
And I'm very disappointed that he doesn't say PC per plays with /mailbag.
Yeah.
It's a
In
missed
a
opportunity.
LE-B.
Yeah.
Well, it's a W /
A mail bag.
Yes. So we actually will talk about computer hardware and news and reviews and things that have happened. We record the show on Wednesday nights, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern. Usually I do that the other
Sometimes
direction.
it turns into Thursday mornings.
As the
For
chat
some.
says,
It does.
it's the show that ends the week. on Wednesday.
Yeah, we wrap up the week with the PC Perspective podcast. We do it at pcper.com/live. So if you want to come hang out in the chat room and talk with us while we do the show, you can ask questions, you can bug us and help point out our errors when we have brain farts. We don't know the answers to specific things. The chat is very important.
That never happens.
Never happens. If you need a reminder about the event, maybe you're a little bit busy on Wednesday evenings, you need a gentle nudge about, hey, dummy, come over to pcper.com/live. You can go to pcper.com/subscribe right now. Phone, tablet, laptop, PC, go to on any of those devices, pcper.com/live. Oh, I'm sorry, /subscribe, and ask for your name and your email address, and then I will send you a notification, a couple of hours or so, or maybe an hour before we do the live stream. Just so you can do a reminder, you can set your notifications, you can alert your personal assistant to give you a heads up that that you'll be attending the PC Perspective live streaming podcast. It's very important for everybody that you do so. Also, we have our Patreon campaign continuing to go at patreon.com/PCPer. This is your place to go if you want to become a monthly contributor to us. If you feel like you're running an ad blocker, or you think the content that we've done recently is good and it warrants your attention, and that you feel like you want to support this group as advertising becomes much more difficult to attain, you can do so there. It can be $1 a month, it can be $3, $5, $10, $20 a month, all the way up to like $1 billion. I don't know what the maximum is in the field. Really.
$1 billion a month. You have to hold your pinky to your mouth when you say that.
I tell you what, if you do that for just 1 month, I'll actually grandfather you in to be a lifetime member.
Oh, okay.
Right. I mean, that seems like
And you
fair.
own Alan.
And at least Alan.
So
Maybe.
that's interesting.
Yeah.
I'd come and dust your house.
Yeah. In one of those skimpy little maid
French
costumes.
maid
Oh,
outfits.
French maid?
Sure.
Yeah.
Wow.
For $1 billion, I would absolutely do that.
Yeah. Fly them out every week.
Oh,
Hell,
yeah.
do that for $1 million.
Oh, yeah, no,
and we'll
I
do
meant
it
I would
once.
do it. But yes, I will definitely make Josh do it.
Wait, let's keep going, Josh.
Seems easier this
100,000.
way.
Yeah, but what would you do for 100,000?
How about 350?
How much for a quarter?
And also, as we do every week with the Patreon, if you become a new patron, you are a new member to the group, and or you increase your Patreon contribution, I will call you out and your name and thank you on the live stream. And sometimes we have nobody up here yet. Okay, so we will do that throughout the show. We have a couple of interesting things that started this week as we try to increase some of the video stuff we do. So if you're watching this on YouTube, you probably have already seen this. If you're not, if you just catch the live stream and maybe listen to the MP3 download of the podcast, you may have missed some of this. We're going to do a regular occurring mailbag, which is basically one person sitting in front of a camera with a microphone, reading questions and answering them for 15 minutes or so a week. I did the first one last Thursday. I will be recording the next one tomorrow, and it's pretty cool in that we just ask your questions on the YouTube channel or in the comments on the post. We'll read them, pick out a half dozen or so to do, and we will run them through that way. It will probably be me for the majority of the time, but we'll get some other guys in there if I'm out of town or whatever, doing other things. So we have that. That was a long requested feature or something, I guess you would call it, on the site.
Is it a feature or is it a bug?
It's mostly a bug for sure.
Yeah.
And then we also did a thing on Tuesday called PC Per Plays, which is basically, you can switch over here to this area, where we sit over on our other set here that Jim is now occupying. We can't see him, but the Jim is occupying, and we're gonna play games. They could be new games like PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds that we played last week, or maybe next week we play Star Wars TIE Fighter, or maybe we play.
So we're playing old retro games.
No, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds is a new game.
TIE Fighter?
Yeah, but we could play old games too.
Okay.
I think we're going to make you play Myst maybe one time.
Myst?
Yeah, original Myst.
Okay.
How quickly can you figure out these puzzles before we make fun of you?
Probably still memorized all of them.
That's what I was thinking. I think I brought that up specifically on Tuesday when we did our other live stream. Yeah.
Well.
I think that's perfect. So we're going to do stuff like
Watch
that.
as Al speeds runs Myst.
Exactly. How far can he get in an hour and 20 minutes?
Just depends on your CD seek times.
Yeah. Actually,
The goal
yeah.
is just to do more content that is supposedly easier in terms of we're not doing benchmarking, testing, evaluating, analyzing, but more of community, personality. Hey, come hang out with us for a little bit. You know, we're trying to interact with you. The chat room runs during the PC per plays.
Playing some of the old ones.
We
would be
answer
pretty
questions
cool.
on the
Like,
mailbag.
You know, talk about reminiscing of the old times on like 286s playing Wing Commander. Or
During
whatever.
that episode, we talked about Ultima Online and there was recommendations that they gave me a place to go. That was really good. I saw that picture pop up on my screen. Maybe we get into a retro server and figure out how to play Ultima Online again. So there's some cool ideas we have there that we're gonna work
picture is
through.
amazing.
It's pretty good.
So use that as a thumbnail for the podcast.
I think so. I think that's definitely it. Who made that one for us?
Is that Anthony?
That's really fast action.
How do somebody put a link to that in the show notes so I can click on it real fast because that deserves to be shown on
just
the
put
live
it in
stream.
chat too.
You did. We'll put it in the show notes. It's the only thing I see on here.
Oh, that's good.
Is it in there? Somebody? Bueller. Show notes.
I'm working on it.
He's getting there. He's trying.
Paste it in.
Didn't have them open.
Yeah, it's
There it
Anthony.
is.
There you go.
there you
Antonio.
go. Oh,
I can't
it's gonna
remember.
cut it off. Yeah, buddy. That is pretty good.
Who am I? Am I Anderson Cooper? Is that?
You might wait. You're wearing a North Face.
He's outside.
Or
That
somewhere.
person's outside.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That's really
love
good.
the,
Josh is
so
the
bad.
best.
I like the ticker at the bottom. SSD is still not 10 cents a gig.
That's so awesome.
Oh man, Ethereum pricing. Yeah, it
Probably saying crashes.
Yeah, it looks like somebody's Anderson Cooper because it's during AC. It says always late under the logo. That's pretty
Popular
good.
as fidget spinners.
That's good for.
I think
high
that's going to
speed.
be used quite often.
Oh, that's great.
Throughout this, that's pretty great. All right, so let's get to actual things. I guess if we have to, let's first talk about the ASUS ROG Zephyrus GX501. So this is a gaming notebook. This is the Max-Q Design gaming notebook. Max-Q Design was announced during Computex by NVIDIA as an attempt to find, as they say in this slide, the perfect balance, kind of like the peak efficiency of performance, while not going to the shift in the hockey stick of power consumption, right? Where yes, you can get more power as you more performance as you increase power, but at the cost of being able to have lighter, thinner, quieter machines. So they announced three: a Clevo, an Asus, and MSI. We have the Asus one here. Ken actually did the testing and review for this. It's a unique design. You can see the specs: Core i7 7700 HQ. That's a quad-core hyper-threaded part. The GTX 1080 with Max-Q design, which has a typo I just found. 24 gigs of memory. 15.6-inch 1080p, 120 hertz G-Sync monitor, 512 gig NVMe SSD, so that's nice. 802.11ac, Thunderbolt 3, HDMI 2, USB 3.0, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. $2,700 is also an important part to note there. So
That's important.
it's expensive, but honestly, in terms of other GTX 1080 based gaming notebooks, it's not
Like the second cheapest one I could find, actually.
Yeah. So what about, let's start with the physical design, because that's very unique on this. What stood out?
I want to know what you can do with that shelf that's above the keyboard.
Well, you can warm your hands on it.
That's where the
Rest your
components
junk
are.
on
You
it.
could
That's what
put your cup of coffee
you
on there and
fry
keep it
eggs.
warm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just don't
If
spill
your ice
it.
cream was a little bit too cold,
Don't spill it. So what they did was they moved the keyboard
All the way.
all the way to the front,
Yeah.
like closest to the body of the person using it, and then they moved the touchpad off to the right.
Now, this isn't the first time we've seen this.
It's true.
We saw it on the MSI. No,
The
MSI
GT83 Titans, the ones with mechanical keyboards. They do
Mechanical
this for
keyboards and the dual
obvious
GPU.
reasons.
Although that keyboard was all the way at the front.
This one is all the way at the front.
That's a rubber wrist rest. That they
there's a
include
wrist
with
rest
it.
you
Yeah,
add to it. Interesting.
It's just
Wrist
a
rest.
rubber piece that,
Yeah.
yeah. What did you think about using the keyboard in that kind of position?
I thought on a desk or other surface, it's great. The keyboard is fairly tactile, pretty responsive, a good implementation of a chiclet keyboard. The trackpad, while kind of weird that it's off to the side, perfectly usable, tracks pretty well. The clicks of the buttons are nice. However, as soon as I put it in my lap and tried to use it, it was extremely challenging, we'll say. Essentially, you end up having to move the machine all the way up on your lap so that the keyboard still sits where about your wrists are, and you just kind of shift the entire weight distribution forward, which is not exactly comfortable for... Even though this is a light gaming laptop, it's not a light laptop in general.
Correct. It's light for gaming laptops. It's not light for laptops.
Yes.
Yeah. Probably the most in as we talked about, all the componentry is in this section up here. That's where the CPU and GPU rest and where the fans and everything are. And it's a very thin profile, right? It's only 0.67 inches thick, 17 millimeters or so thick. And that's pretty good. I mean, that's impressive
thinner than
for a
this
gaming notebook.
MacBook Pro I have.
Now, the secret of that is this part right here. If you look at this profile shot, like, so there's two profile shots here to look at. This one is with the lid closed, and this one is with the lid open. And there's a mechanic where as the lid opens, a piece of the bottom, like the platform of the bottom, actually telescopes out a little bit. There's like a little mechanical hinge that pushes it down.
It all feels surprisingly solid for something like this. You would think that it might feel a little jank and break, and it actually is an extremely solid mechanism. And we actually took that plate off, and the hinge is really well designed. So if you want to like clean the fans underneath there, because you get access to the fans and the heat sinks for the CPU and the GPU, you could do that relatively easily. That panel comes off. They even include a screwdriver in the box, which is interesting. The screwdriver only works for the screws for that panel. The rest are a Torx bit that they don't include.
Of course.
So, I mean, it's actually still a relatively serviceable design considering the sort of weird aspects of it.
Yeah. Pretty good connectivity, 4 USB 3.0 ports, full-size HDMI. Performance-wise, we found the GTX 1080 in this Max-Q configuration, which, as we were explained today, is expected to be 85 to 90% of the performance of a typical GTX 1080 in like a much larger, higher-end gaming notebook. We don't have any of those, right? We didn't have any other 1080 gaming notebooks in the office. So we compared it to a desktop 1080 and a desktop 1070. And it fell between the two for the most part, right?
Yeah.
With the exception of GTA 5, which had a big CPU bottleneck that we were hitting apparently. But like Dirt Rally, a little bit closer to the 1070 and the 1080. GTA 5 was the big gap, but it was still pulling over 70 frames per second at our very high image quality settings.
Is there
so we tested all the normal GPU games we test with the settings at 1080p because this is a 1080p 120 hertz panel. We always like to test at the native panel resolution of the notebook because that's ideally how you'd be spending your time, especially if you have a portable gaming laptop. So everything was completely playable. All of the titles we tested, all the ones we ran through, Witcher 3, Tomb Raider, all these really demanding titles were perfectly playable at
reasonably high settings.
Yeah, I mean, it's mostly maxed out settings on every game. And it's a G-Sync panel, so if you're running at 45 frames a second and dipping between 40 and 50, it's still a smooth experience.
Yep.
You're not getting the 120 hertz native out of the panel, but it's still a pleasant thing.
Yeah. We did notice a couple of things that stood out perf-wise. There was, in a couple of games, like I think in Tomb Raider, there was more frame time variance than on the desktop systems. Were there other games that stood out like that? There's a little bit more on Hitman, for example.
Is there like do we know if there's like a hard power limit for this, or is it a thermal limit? Like what is
so there definitely is. There's definitely a hard power limit to the hardware. And that's probably what's accounting for it, right? It's kind of getting up to that point and kind of, wavering back and forth among.
Does that number change when you go on the battery?
For Max-Q, I don't.
Sometimes,
usually it does. Yes.
Yeah.
Actually, yes, it definitely does because it's only 100 watts from the battery, almost always in all the gaming machines.
Yeah. Okay.
And so you're definitely drawing more than 100 watts when you're doing the CPU and GPU and all that.
I think it's like a 230 watt power supply.
Yeah, I don't think we're getting close to that, but
yeah.
Actually, if I had my notes or something, I know
I'd be
what the
surprised
TDP of
to
this
see a
part
laptop
is.
draw 230 off the battery. That'd be a lot.
So even though the GTX 1080 with Max-Q design doesn't perform up to the level of a desktop GTX 1080, which we had a conversation with NVIDIA today, concerned because we're using a desktop processor in this comparison versus a mobile processor. Even though the mobile processor is a quad-core hyper-threaded, it's not going to clock as high for as long. My argument is that tough, like that's kind of like the comparison that somebody's going to make.
Yeah.
Right.
For $2,700, I can build one hell of a gaming desktop.
Correct.
Right. You're going to want how it compares against the desktop machine.
Yeah. Is it fair that you should also want to see how it compares to other gaming notebooks? Absolutely, it is.
Sure.
We just we don't get to keep those.
Yeah.
Right. And so running new tests with updated drivers is impossible.
Right.
So unless only things people want to see are Unigine Heaven and 3D Mark, that's kind of not a really feasible thing for us to do.
Yeah.
But even though it kind of was a little bit faster than a desktop GTX 1070, I still think that's actually pretty impressive
For a laptop?
But for not just
a
laptop, but
thin
like
laptop.
the thin laptop.
Yeah.
Right. That was quiet. Like we used it. That's the laptop we used on the PC per plays stream.
And you didn't hear
and the
like,
fan noise was fine. Like we were wearing lavs. It wasn't really a problem. I mean, yeah.
The part of the Max-Q design is sub 40 dBA sound, which is pretty good even for like a desktop graphics card.
To do that
if you
and
think
get
about
to
it,
like 1070 level performance, that's pretty.
That's
pretty good.
this you can carry around this laptop with you from class to meetings to whatever. Like it'll fit in a normal backpack. It's light. It won't sort of break your back in that regards.
Yeah.
Like if
I still don't think it's very usable in your lap, but that isn't necessarily a knock against the whole Max-Q thing because some of them have keyboards in the regular position.
Right.
We're trying to get some of those machines into test.
The other perf worth noting is that we did. So one of the things you got to be careful of when testing a notebook is the thermal limitations. Is that after you game for an hour, does the performance change? Ken did a test here on Dirt Rally where we ran the benchmark immediately upon starting the test, and then we looped the benchmark for 45 minutes and then retested it, and performance was pretty much identical. So that's a good sign, and that Asus and NVIDIA engineered the design of the system, the infrastructure, and the thermals to be very consistent from beginning to end. So that's a plus. The CPU and storage we won't really touch on. It's really fast. It's a quad-core hyper-threaded part with an NVMe drive.
Yep.
It was among the fastest.
It was the fastest laptop we've ever tested.
It was the fastest. Okay, it was
by
the fastest
far.
laptop and CPU tests like transcoding, video editing, rendering.
Because it has
that type of stuff.
actual
Because it's an actual quad-core part.
Yeah.
And it's a new quad-core part. Like we had tested quad-core parts in the past, but other iterations. And
So
stuff.
like, did we do the battery test?
Battery test sucks. Yeah, this graph right here is your battery life.
And that's
Something's got to give.
And it's basically just browsing.
Yeah, that's only browsing.
Like it's a light battery
But
test.
the
by standards
GTX 1080 doesn't.
it clocks down.
It clocks down, but it doesn't go off.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not a Optimus design with Intel graphics and stuff like that. It's just a 1080.
Yeah.
Which has its advantages.
The graphics is disabled, right?
What do you
The
mean?
Intel graphics. Sorry. Didn't you try to run QuickSync and it wouldn't run or something like that? Maybe not. I don't know.
I can't remember if I got it to run ultimately or not. I think I might have installed the driver and got it to run.
That's what you sacrifice when you buy a gaming laptop.
Yep.
And I'd still like to see this addressed because you would think there would be a way to just really totally turn it off, even if it requires a reboot of the system.
Yeah, and use only the
and
Intel
use only
GPU.
the Intel GPU
'Cause it's
or
there.
something like that. It is.
It's installed, right?
Now,
So-
there may be some engineering reason why you can't have both for the Max-Q design implementation or something. I don't know. I can't think of what it would be, but you would assume that Asus and NVIDIA wouldn't want to see this graph. So if it were an easy fix, they would do it. Pricing is high, like we talked about at the beginning. And even though I still think this is actually a really good machine, it's very unique. The keyboard and touchpad, the touchpad location on the right of the keyboard takes some getting used to. It's just like this habit of going
for the
using
center.
I very often am typing and using both of my thumbs to scroll, click, do whatever. Can't really do that on this. I'm still curious to see what the other Max-Q designs do, to see what their thermals and performance look like in this comparison, while also seeing what they were able to do with the form factor. See if Asus is able to make a thinner machine by making this decision or not. So we'll see. Any more thoughts on it, Ken, before we open it up?
Not really.
Right.
We did, and now that you mentioned that, we did actually try to open it up, but man, that was not obvious.
You mean the machine?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I was not even going to begin to get into that.
Anybody else? Questions? Thoughts?
No.
Max-Q?
It's
All right.
cool.
We do have 2 new patrons to thank you. Pure Havoc just pledged $3 to our Patreon. Thank you very much, Pure Havoc. And Poopaloop just pledged $3 as well.
Sweet.
Thank you, Mr. Poopaloop, for becoming a patron subscriber.
That's Mr. Poopaloop to you?
Yes. I would call him no other than that, to be sure.
The chat brings up a good point. You
Yes.
can't have Optimus and G-Sync because G-Sync, the display has to be connected directly to the GPU.
Okay.
Optimus is connected to the Intel GPU.
Yep, that's true. That's a good point.
Incompatible. If
See, I told
only
you the chat
G-Sync was an
reason.
open technology, you could probably get that to work.
You'd still have to depend on Intel's implementation of the technology. Intel doesn't support FreeSync today.
Yeah. Fair.
Just throwing it out.
But are there any FreeSync laptops?
Yeah, probably.
I mean, it just figure they could.
I would
you'd
go with
figure-
that as well. Yeah, probably.
You'd figure there could be something with like a DisplayPort multiplexer or something.
Yeah, then you're adding extra complexity and cost and
I
space
know.
of the board. And
Yeah, but you'd get an awful lot more battery life.
yeah, but do you
For that-
really care
for that,
about battery
like-
life for a gaming laptop?
But it's
AMD
like, you
Robert
know,
says yes, there are FreeSync laptops.
Okay.
Yeah, I just can't name a single model off the top of my head, unfortunately.
The Asus made a laptop that was a AMD processor, AMD GPU. That one has FreeSync. I know that. I can't remember the model
There we go.
numbers. There's so many up there. So, okay, let's take a look at. Oh, real quick, Sebastian posted a review of this enormous item in our rundown: the Zalman ZM K900M RGB mechanical gaming keyboard. You left out the word gaming in the rundown, though. Oh man, if you're gonna put all those words,
It was getting too long.
Oh, okay. I see.
How big of a heatsink fan does it have on it?
Zalman.
Because when
only-
I think Zalman, I think heatsinks.
they make those orb fans, right?
Yeah.
That's the ones that had were they're SLI certified or NVIDIA certified Zalman coolers, I believe, that had like for the Enforce platform. That's what I remember as well.
Yeah.
AMD Robert points out ROG Strix GL702ZC is a FreeSync notebooks with a 120 hertz panel, as an example. Thank you very
Although-
much.
I'd also
Nice.
point out mobile G-Sync is EDP.
It is. There are no modules in mobile G-Sync.
But it still has to be connected to the NVIDIA GPU.
Right. But
Yeah, the NVIDIA GPU is now what controls it all.
yeah, but I thought Intel's GPU implementation supported the variable refresh, the mobile.
Yeah, but it's
variable
not
refresh.
just
I know.
variable refresh. Like there's a lot of other stuff that goes into the
Yeah.
gaming version. I think even AMD would,
Panel
would
self
tell you
refresh.
It's like
is,
it's so close.
Technology you're thinking of. Yeah.
it's so. Here's the thing: it's so close to get to 90%,
Yeah, I know.
right? And then it's that last
know.
10% that makes the difference of a good product and a shitty product,
Hmm.
and it takes 90% of the work. Anyway, back to this Zalman keyboard, not a cooler. The ZM K900M is an RGB gaming keyboard under $100, mechanical. Sebastian took a look at that. Look at those RGBs.
Z Machine gaming gear.
Z Machine gaming gear. It has the Z engine, which is the above mentioned 1000 hertz polling rate. Requires no software installation and is universally compatible with any operating system. It supports USB and PS2.
Really?
Yeah, comes with a
I
fancy
bet you it
adapter.
doesn't glow with PS2.
Oh, look at that box.
That's a pretty nice box. I'm not gonna lie. Not gonna lie. There's your USB to PS2 adapter, so I know what year it is.
Does the RGB still work?
It can't.
There's
Can't,
no
right?
way it works.
Yeah.
Oh.
There's no way. It's plastic, but it felt solid, according to Sebastian. Soft rubber pads, keeping it in place on both the if you lay it flat or if you angle it up. I kind of want to try a USB to PS2 adapter in like
if it lights up.
2017. Like I just want to know.
It
I
works
need to
the
know.
same as it always has.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I guess.
You get an N key rollover.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, they're the same ones they were selling 20 years ago. They just got a lot of stock left.
Probably true.
Uh,
Does it say Logitech somewhere on that adapter?
this Zalman keyboard comes in blue, black, brown, and red switches. So you're all the varieties you can
Yeah,
you're
covered.
not all, but majority of.
They actually cherry switches or are they
Equivalent?
switches?
Did he take the keycap off?
No, I think Zalman does their own.
Okay.
What are they, blue?
Oh, the Khalil Blues. Those are one of the
Yeah.
leading third-party ones that people seem to like. Man, those patents expired.
seems like a good
really
keyboard.
rushed the market.
Yeah.
Sebastian gave it a gold
Yeah,
award.
they are Kaylee blue.
It's $89. that's pretty cheap for a mechanical keyboard. It's a lot for a lot of people for a keyboard in general, but for a gaming keyboard, it's pretty good. So, yeah.
Why would you use blue keys on a gaming keyboard?
Because blue keys are awesome.
They're awesome for typing, but
Yeah.
Whatever. I prefer
I love my blues. Like, you'll take my blue keyboard over my cold dead hands.
Yeah.
But
It gets annoying.
Sounds like a song.
It all depends on the ratio in which you do the things. If you game 30% of the time, you probably want a blue. If you game 70% of the time, you probably want reds.
yeah, okay.
I don't know what makes a keyboard a gaming keyboard.
I think Browns is a good.
Nope. Burn it
What?
down, blues.
No, I'm just saying compromise. It's a compromise.
Nope.
Yeah,
That's what I usually settle on, just because do a lot of typing, but occasionally I do some gaming. So
What switches are on an
trying to
Xbox
figure out
controller?
what the brown one is. An Xbox controller?
Yeah. Do they have cherry switches?
It's
Which
just
kind?
that's not a.
Not yet.
It's not a switch. Just a.
Piece of
What do you
rubber.
mean? It's a rubber nubbin.
Rubber domes.
I push the button and things happen. That's all there is. So let's talk about the Microsoft Surface Pro 2017 and the Apple iPad Pro 2017. Because we're not allowed to have numbers after things anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Microsoft Surface Pro dropped the numerics, even though I saw a lot of people that still just call this the Surface Pro 5. I just couldn't build myself to do it. So I originally got in the Apple iPad Pro 10.5 inch and was going to do a review of that item. And I was using it, and I basically came to the conclusion that just a review of it didn't make a whole lot of sense. And in reality, I was personally trying to use the iPad Pro as a replacement for my laptop. Like, okay, it's going to have better battery life. I know that. What can it do? What can it not do?
It sounds familiar.
I've always loved the idea of having a stylus for note taking and stuff like that. That's why I've gone through so many of these different like tablet PCs.
Yep.
So I got some other hardware, and I got the iPad Pro 12.9 inch as well. Both of them using the new SoC, the
Beast
A10X.
of a screen.
Yeah. And then I got in the equivalent Surface Pro 5
Equivalent to what?
price to 12.9.
To the 12.9 iPad?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it looks like it has a smaller screen.
So yeah, the specifications look like this, and it's always awkward to look at spec comparisons between an ARM architecture and an x86 architecture platform.
Yeah.
But if you look at just the screen, it's the Surface Pro has 12.3 inch. The iPad Pro has 12.9. But it just feels larger than that. Like they're all 3.3:2 aspect ratios. Although if you look at these devices side by side, it does not appear that way.
Yeah.
Because of the way the bezel of the Surface Pro is, it doesn't feel that way.
Yep.
Now there is some concessions here because in order to get the Surface Pro to the price you wanted, which was $999 in this case, we got 4 gigs of RAM and 128 gig SSD.
4 gigs of RAM is very low.
It's very low. I
Yeah.
agree.
They shouldn't ship a Surface Pro with 4 gigs of RAM.
I would agree with that sentiment. It's a Core i5 7300U, so it's a 2-core, 4-thread. The Apple A10X is 6-core, 3 high performance, 3 high efficiency. The GPUs are very different. It's interesting because, pricing wise, when you combine the tablet, the keyboard, and the pen or pencil, they're within $90 of each other, like $1248 and $1150, right? Or $1160, something like that. So they are very like price equivalent parts.
Both completely not upgradable.
Correct.
That's true.
Yep. Both very difficult to take apart and repair, according to iFixit. But you can see actually how the iPad Pro 12.9 and the Surface Pro 10, like they look very similar in size and scope. The 10.5 inch iPad Pro very different. From a hardware design standpoint, there's a couple of things that stand out to me. One, if you look at these as just tablets, if you're only buying the tablet, you're not buying a keyboard. The kickstand on the Surface Pro is amazing. Mm-hmm. I maintain it to be like the best feature of a generation of devices that have been built, right? Because without a keyboard or a cover, all iPads are awful.
Yeah.
There's literally like
You are the kickstand.
If you want to watch a movie on it, dummy, you hold it up.
Yeah.
Right? Or find someplace on that plane to prop
it
it up
against something.
Right?
Yeah.
And the very slick bottom will fall out from under you anyway, so it doesn't really matter, right? So
Sure, but for the $100 you're saving, you could buy the smart cover without the keyboard.
you could.
I guess.
Yeah.
That's true.
Otherwise, if just tablet mode, the iOS is just clearly built for a touch interface, and Windows 10 is not.
Yeah.
They have, they have a tablet mode. It's okay.
Yeah.
Microsoft tried Windows 8.1 or Windows 8, and people hated it, and so they went back to what people wanted, and what they wanted was an operating system meant to have a keyboard and a trackpad attached to it.
Yeah.
Right. So as a tablet, it's a hard sell for a Windows device. The keyboards on these actually were all surprisingly good. Like to type on them. I did a lot of typing on the 10.5 inch and the 12.9 inch.
Yep. There's
iPad
a little
Pro.
bit of a learning curve.
There is, but the keyboards feel much better than I expected. The
Yep.
Surface Pro Smart Cover, is that what they call it? What do they call theirs?
Smart typing cover.
Smart type cover or something is really, really good. The touchpad works well. Everything feels nice. My biggest complaint about it, and you can kind of get an idea of this here, it's hard to tell. The Surface Pro was stable on a desk, even on a desk now. The iPad Pro is wobbly, and yours is actually less. You have the
because I have the smaller one. I have this
9.7.
9.7.
9.7.
Yeah.
The 12.9 with its keyboard,
It's too big.
the surface area of the keyboard that creates the base for the device.
Yeah.
Is not a high enough ratio compared to the weight and height of the screen.
Yeah.
Did you use the photo of that in the review?
Of which one?
Took the photo of the keyboard folded all the way out on the 12-inch one.
Maybe.
I don't know.
I don't know. This is another photo that kind of shows you. So this is the 10.5 inch. This is the 12.9 inch. And even though they made the triangle bigger and stuff, it just always felt like it was going to fall over. You also don't have any adjustment of the angle, which is a pain.
It did fall over a couple of
Yeah,
times.
it did.
Yeah.
You're right.
Kind of on its own.
The 10.5 probably did better.
The 10.5 did way better.
Yeah.
It still wasn't perfect, but it definitely did better than 12.9. 12.9 was kind of laughably large, yeah. And even like I said, even though it's the same 3x2 screen and it's not much larger physically, it just felt different in the hand, even when using it. The pen and the pencil I thought were actually really comparable in terms of performance and usability. You've got the battery difference because you charge it in that dumb way on the Apple Pencil, but it's actually super convenient because you don't have to worry about finding a battery.
Stick it in the.
Whereas with the Surface Pen, it requires a quadruple A battery, which if you're at a conference or you're at the airport, you might have difficulty finding a quadruple A battery.
How long does it last on that?
A long time.
Okay.
A long time. But so does the Apple Pencil.
Probably not as long as
the problem with batteries that last a long time is that you forget to charge them.
Yeah.
That was my problem with when I wore the Pebble, was I could go 4 days. So 4 days go by, I'm like, and then the fifth day, I'm like, crap, I forgot to bring that with me or whatever it was.
Right.
So the screens are both.
And you can't bring a spare one.
Right. That
is one benefit I'll give battery-powered things is you can toss a couple of spares in.
That's true. You can if you always have another quadruple A battery in your bag, you'll be good.
Yeah.
The screens are all excellent quality. The Edge goes to the iPad Pros on that. They have better quality. So again, I say this a couple times in review.
Well, they're 120 hertz now. So
the Surface Pro has amazing features. Like the screen quality on the Surface Pro is outstanding. The battery life on the Surface Pro is outstanding compared to other tablets, Windows tablets. But because they're being compared to a company that does things amazingly well all of the time,
right?
It looks bad. So like the Surface Pro screen is awesome. Terrific pixel density, very high color depth. But the screen on the iPad is DCI-P3. It's 120 hertz.
Yep.
It's a much better screen.
Yeah.
Now, the number of times that matters, that difference matters, is minimal.
I think the 120 hertz matters.
You can feel it. It's smoother.
Yeah.
I didn't find an application or a use case where I felt like it was a benefit to me other than moving around the operating system.
Sure.
Right? The idea might be that eventually, VRR gaming, variable refresh gaming comes to iOS, and that all gets integrated, and it kind of works better that way.
That would make things smoother. And, yeah.
But I don't think we're there yet. We talked about the keyboards already. Connectivity, they both kind of suck, but at least the Surface Pro has a USB port and a mini display port. You get a Lightning port on the iPad. Yeah, there's that picture you were talking about, Ken. That's
a lot of surface area.
That's a lot of surface area for that's the unrolled, if you will, 12.9 inch tablets. So obviously a lot of difference in the iOS stuff, like the operating systems is the big point here. Windows is built for productivity. That is my workflow. iOS is built for consumption.
Yeah.
Right.
More for consuming.
And productivity is kind of being stapled on as it goes. It's way better than it was when I first got an iPad and the iPad 2 and the iPad Air and all that stuff. But it's still pretty far behind.
It's okay. It's okay for like single tasking productivity. Like if you're writing something in Word.
I actually even put in the story that's like, if you have trouble with like ADHD, the iPad can help you, because
that's true.
It's kind of,
it tries to keep you on task.
It's a lot of work to like switch applications and make sure you're not screwing anything up. So like it kind of focused me to do one thing at a time.
Interesting. Maybe that's what I need.
Now,
you do get side by side if you really need to be able to look at something while
and iOS 11 will change all of this, or a lot of it.
It'll help it more.
You know, like things like file system access was missing, and I wanted to do this all on iOS 10, stuff that somebody buys and uses today.
Yeah.
And that may change in the fall. Performance-wise, the general consensus here as we go through Tablet Mark, Web Expert, Kraken, is that in CPU tests, especially like single-threaded loaded tests, the Core i5 was better. Okay. In multi-threaded, it was kind of a toss-up, maybe a slight edge to the 6-core A10X. The GPU leaned in favor of the Apple part. The Intel integrated graphics kind of again shows its inferiority in 3D Mark and GFX Bench and stuff like that. But it's also interesting because, like on the Surface Pro, you're not really planning on doing gaming, right? On the iPad, you're probably more likely to do gaming because of the app ecosystem. You know, the fact that you can go to the Play Store, you can go to the App Store and download games very easily and run them, and you don't have to worry about Steam in the background or web apps or whatever. So Intel doesn't probably lose very much by being behind in the GPU side, but it's definitely a sticking point for them. And then battery life, a pretty big difference. We got over 11.5 hours of usable Wi-Fi time on the iPad Pros, and even though we got 7 hours, just over 7 hours on the Surface Pro, which is actually really good for not just a tablet, but for even a whole laptop, right? Like a thin and light laptop. It's kind of, again, that's another one of those things where just inherently the mobile first design of the A10X gets you to this conclusion. So, you know, overall, I kind of summarize this as, for me, if somebody were asking my opinion on what they should buy, if there's in any way a part of you that is like productivity based, it's just Windows. It's not even really the hardware that does it at this point. It's Windows makes a big enough difference, and the Intel performance is good in those areas that matter on productivity. It's shortened on performance on the graphics side, but that's just less important for that particular workload. Because you're not buying a Surface Pro for gaming, and probably not buying an iPad Pro for gaming, at least not gaming first. And maybe in a year we can do this again, and we look at whatever the new iPad Pro is, and with all the OS changes and stuff.
The new.
The iPad Pro 2018.
Pro. Yeah.
And it may be very different, because in my time using the iPad Pros, especially the 10.5, 10.5 was my favorite of the two. Mm-hmm. I liked the combination of, you know, usability, battery life, size, portability. There was enough stuff that I couldn't do on iOS that made it a non-starter for like my only device. And if I have to carry my laptop and my iPad, kind of defeats the purpose of choosing one over the other, right? So
yeah,
there you go. Any thoughts from anybody on this one? I know I talked for too long on it probably, so.
Well, it's big enough you're not likely to leave it behind on the airplane.
I have not lost an iPad on an airplane, but I have
only a Kindle.
A Kindle DX, which was the big Kindle. So maybe your argument doesn't mean a whole lot for me. I don't know.
Oh, sorry, I had more faith in you than I should have.
That's fair. What else we got? So we got a lot of, this is our AMD block. This is our weekly block of AMD news. And actually, I want to go tweet this out here. It's time for our weekly at AMD block on the at PCPer podcast, pcper.com/live. And that's not how you spell podcast, Ryan. There we go. Now everybody knows we're for real. So let's talk about AMD and all the stuff AMD's doing. First of all, they released the Crimson Relive driver today and update 17.7.2, which is not roll off the tongue in any incredibly sexy way. This is an iterative software release. This isn't kind of like their previous two huge yearly annual cadence releases. They've done things like The Radeon settings is now all in the new user interface as opposed to partially in the old kind of crummy looking Catalyst Control Center stuff.
Yeah.
So that's good. They've added changes to the Radeon Relive support, the part of their driver that's integrated that does capture, streaming, sharing, that type of stuff. They've doubled the bitrate maximum up to 100 megabits per second. You can now adjust like camera transparencies. You get notifications on how long you've been streaming and stuff like that. And you can even modify some microphone controls, audio controls from all within the interface, which is nice. Radeon Wattman now supports memory underclocking. Probably not necessary for gaming, so probably necessary for people who were doing mining. They wanted to get that out the door. And they also have the ability to do power state control. So you can actually disable specific DPM states on the GPU if you never want it to enter those. So you could have it always run at high performance. You could have it always run at low performance.
Also something miners were doing.
So probably not a coincidence. Radeon Chill, which is the ability for the driver to basically, I don't know how to describe this in a handful of words. Radeon Chill lowers your frame rate when you're standing still to lower power consumption on the GPU, and then instantaneously increases your frame rate when you start to move.
And it did it based on like keyboard, or
it does it based on input.
Yeah.
Yes.
Keyboard and mouse input.
And it was like per game, like programmed in.
Profiled per game.
Yeah.
And it still is, but now they've added a whole bunch of games for the year 2017. Let me see if I can scroll over there. You got stuff like, so Dota 2 and League of Legends were announced with the RX 580, but then you got The Division and Doom and For Honor, Battlefield 1, Titanfall 2, Rocket League.
It's worth noting that Dota 2 didn't work in Vulkan mode. They added Vulkan and DX12 support. So I would presume it would work now.
Oh, okay. All right.
So while Dota 2 worked, it was in DX9.
Yeah, and so you're talking about, this is going to be a big slide, maybe not worth showing. League of Legends, Dota 2, but maybe Battlefield 1. Look, DirectX 12, Battlefield 1, the average in their testing, in this particular test, went from 192 to 148 watts of power, right? And that's, it's going to be very much based on what your testing scenario is, how much you're standing still, how much you're moving. If you're a sniper and you're sitting there camping in one spot for a long time, chances are you can really reduce your power consumption, maybe.
Yeah, but then your frame rate will be so low that when the guy goes to run across, you're just going to see him.
We can only hope.
You're only going to see him twice.
I bet it doesn't go. It probably doesn't drop down to 2 frames or anything like that. So
yeah.
Serves them right for camping.
See, there you go. It's the anti-camping technology. There you go.
Oh, man. They added frame rate target control for DX12 and multi-GPU. They added per-display color controls, which was apparently the #2 voted feature by Radeon users that they wanted to see.
Oh, man. I'm almost disappointed that this has arrived now that I ended up switching over.
Apparently, from what they said, a lot of people were in that boat where they desperately wanted this capability. So,
well, because I've got a Huey, so I can do one monitor. But you can't match the other 2 to it.
Yeah.
With that and an hour and a half and some OCD, I could do it.
Gotcha. The biggest thing they've added is called Enhanced Sync. And this is somewhat similar to what NVIDIA did with Fast Sync, which was, I'm sorry, Tom, was a bad name for this product. Enhanced Sync basically does... Oh, man. I read this paper from Scott, and I talked to him today about it. So Enhanced Sync basically does, when you are above the maximum refresh rate of your display, if you have a 60 hertz display, but you're running at 90 frames per second, your GPU can run 90 frames per second. If you have VSync on, you would normally be capped at 60 frames.
And you would
you would be pushing... No. You would not necessarily.
Well, yeah, you wouldn't judder. You would add lag.
You would be adding input latency into the game.
Yep.
Right? So the idea for Enhanced Sync is that basically it tells the game that it's always displaying every frame it renders so that the game renders as fast as it can.
Right.
This is, by the way, the exact opposite of chill. The game renders as fast as it can. And what happens is when the screen is ready to do the next refresh cycle, the AMD driver takes the next full frame and displays it, or the most recent full frame and displays it, so that you're always running at 60 hertz on your panel with no tearing.
But wouldn't that give you judder?
I don't think so.
It's where you are in the game.
Not so much judder, but things will transport across the screen.
Well,
A little bit.
a little bit,
Yeah.
but only in that. The only thing you're missing is what would be showing up in torn frames.
Yeah. I mean, you
Right.
have to, if you're gonna be VSync on, like
Or
you have to get
microframes.
judder. If you're like, unless it's matched perfectly, there's gonna be judder in some way.
Matched perfectly.
Unless your frame
No.
FPS of the game is 60 and your display is 60 and you have VSync on, like that's the only time that you're gonna be judder free.
No,
No, you're not going to get judder at all.
No, I
you're
don't
you're
think so.
just going to get larger changes in
In time,
pixel changes.
so that's
Yeah.
judder.
No.
it's still being like all the animation that would have been shown
Yeah.
doesn't get shown,
Right.
and it's the exact same thing that would be happening if you're running at 60
Right.
frames per second.
But
so
unless,
like the
but unless
judder
it's-
is
but-
is
unless it always skips the exact same number of frames, you will get judder.
I see what you're saying.
Oh, I see what you're talking.
But in general, yes.
yeah.
like-
for VSync on, like that's
No. But for enhanced sync,
right.
in general, you're going to be skipping the same number of frames, and
Right.
if anything, it's
But-
going to change by 1 frame
But-
as you move up and down that.
But
that
you're not
range.
pushing back on the buffer and you're not adding a bunch
Correct.
of input latency.
Yeah. And so the
Yeah.
benefit is that you don't get screen tearing, and you have almost VSync like input latency.
Yeah.
VSync off.
Yeah.
Like latency. Now on the low side, it does something too, which is more complex, where if you go below, I don't even know how to explain this.
Which one is this one now?
This is still enhanced sync, but basically what it tries to do is it decreases the stutter when the frame rate is below the refresh rate.
How does it do that?
So it does it by kind of doing the same type of thing,
Uh-huh.
and it will make a concession to show a tear if the drop is too severe.
Okay.
Like basically it has some, and I don't really have an answer to this yet. There's either some heuristic where it's keeping track of things to kind of track the vector of how the frame rate is changing, or it's just doing a simple IFTT,
Yeah.
algorithm on it, where it's somewhere around like once you get below 60% of your refresh rate, that's going to start to enable tearing as you go in and out of
Yeah,
it.
because if you were below the refresh rate, usually what would happen is you would just repeat the last frame.
Correct.
But maybe if it's like, maybe if it starts repeating the last frame, but then like 10% into it or something, it's like, hey, I've got the next one. Like
Right.
It's ready.
It may just be like it may make a decision of, well,
Yeah, it's like
but,
most
if
of the
but
frame.
if it does it at 60% in, it may go, no, it's too late. We're
Right.
going to wait.
Yeah.
That
I
could be
I
part
could
of
see
it.
that. I could see that.
This is
So
something
why
just
don't you
to
just
try.
turn off VSync if you're that concerned about it?
Well, it would give
Because-
you more. It
then
would
you
be,
get tearing.
It would be less frequent tearing, or like,
No.
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
it
like-
would be.
Yeah.
It's the goal is not that below the refresh rate you get no tearing. It's less frequent tearing.
Yeah.
Um,
And then above it,
Well, and
You don't tear.
you're not going to have several mini frames in one shot with not VSync. You're going to
you
get
will at most have one tear.
one tear
Yeah.
throughout the entire screen. Yeah.
That's true. So that's in here. We'll mess around with it and see what we see. And that will work on Vega and RX 400 and 500. They
Does
have
it-
a beta testing program. They have
Does
a new
any of that-
GPU profiler for developers to use.
hold
Go
on,
ahead.
hold on. Does any of that other enhanced sync stuff kick in when you have a FreeSync panel and you're above
Yes.
or below?
I was going to mention that. Yeah.
Huh.
It works with FreeSync. You can enable it with FreeSync, which basically means normally with the FreeSync monitor, if you're above the refresh rate, you are in a VSync on state.
If you have it, you can pick, right?
yes.
Like you can
now
choose.
you can pick enhanced, and it will behave the same way.
Which will give you lower latency, but still have no tearing,
Yes.
which is good.
Correct.
Correct.
That's great.
Yeah. Which,
Does NVIDIA side even do that?
yeah, you can
currently?
use fast sync with
Okay.
G-Sync. Yeah. And then for FreeSync on the bottom side, if your monitor supports LFC, then you don't have to worry about it ever. Right?
Yeah, but I think there's a limit to
Enhanced-
how.
I don't know, but I think it's really low.
Yeah, it's
and
really
at that
low.
point, enhanced sync's not going to make the big a difference.
Yeah,
If your monitor doesn't have LFC support, then enhanced sync will apply and kind of do the same thing that you're doing with standard refresh rate monitors. So, cool little features. We'll do some testing with that. I'm really interested to see if there's other stuff in this software. Somebody was asking. Somebody said that they heard this driver added 3 or 4% to Vega FE. This doesn't have Vega FE device IDs in it, so I don't really know where they got that from. But
But it was on the internet.
right, exactly.
Now
So-
nobody is allowed to lie on the internet.
No. So I'm curious to see what kind of opens up with the Vega driver, if there's other enhancements that kind of go along with this. What do we got here? All right. We've got a couple of new patrons before we get into our next AMD story. Oh, we got a handful. All right. Justin Easley edited their pledge from $5 to $6.99.
$6.99.
Thank you, Justin.
Thank you.
Pure Havoc.
Thank you.
Second mention today, upped his current pledge from $3 to $5. So he's getting full use out of this one. Thank you, Pure Havoc. Would you compare the user experience of the Wacom 32 UHD monitor that comes, just edited their pledge from 5 to 666? To be fair, his name is all one word. Would you compare the user experience of the Wacom 32 UHD monitor that comes? And I guess he ran out of characters at that point.
Yes.
I'd like to make a collect
And
call.
I don't know that that's fair.
I'd like to make a collect call from We Got a Baby It's a Boy.
Well, that's not really.
I was just gonna do that.
And a new pledge from Anthony Abel for $5. Thank you,
Nice.
Anthony. Thank you, everybody, for the support. All right, other AMD news. They reported Q2 results, Josh. How many
Did
dollars
they now?
did they make?
How many dollars?
How many dollars?
$1.22 billion
What-
of
profit?
dollars.
Is that good? Is that bad?
That's pretty good. It's a 27% increase from their previous quarter. Their last one was a sub $1 billion. Now, if you look back at AMD, when they had the Foundry around 2004, 2005, 2006, they were making about $1.5 to $1.6 billion a quarter. And that was before graphics. And then they got graphics and things started to kind of slow down. The Phenom 2 was not as competitive, but we hadn't seen the bad parts yet. We didn't see Bulldozer and that rabbit hole. And finally, in Q1 of this year, they made something like $992 million. So you take a, 33% drop in revenue with a company that is larger than it was before due to ATI. But then again, they did get rid of the foundry portion to Global Foundries. They just weren't making much money.
Mm-hmm.
Last 3 years, their CPU GPU group has had negative operating revenue. Is that correct?
Income.
Anyway, operating income. And that's kind of hard because that's the bread and butter of AMD. Yeah, they've got the semi-custom and the server, which is kind of grouped together. And semi-custom has been keeping them afloat nicely.
Mm-hmm.
But semi-custom is really a seasonal, and you are at the whim of the guys making the semi-custom orders, namely Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo. And so when they're looking forward to Q1 and Q2 of that year, and they say, you know what, we don't need any more of these CPU, GPU things. We're just not going to, make any more, and you're not going to get any royalties. Things kind of go to hell. But Q2 was really important, obviously, because that is the first full quarter of Ryzen revenue.
Mm-hmm.
And it made a direct and positive impact on the company. Not only that, but their refresh of the RX series, the RX 500 series, which you can criticize that as much as you want about how close it is to the RX 400 series. It doesn't matter because they damn near have sold out of everything due to mining and people just wanting to upgrade GPUs. So in between these two things, they saw something like a 57% increase in the CPU GPU revenue from last year just alone. And so it's a pretty big deal. They lost 16 million this quarter, and a lot of that was due to a lot of the kind of employment packages and stock options. What does that sound back there?
I don't know.
Somebody laughing?
No.
We'll let you
probably
know
my
if somebody
kids.
sneaks in behind you.
Please let me know because
It'll be
you never
late,
can
though, because
tell.
I just want to see what happens.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just good humor and fun times. But anyway, when all those things come together, graphics, CPU, Ryzen, chipsets, they even though they lost 16 million due to a lot of that, if they went to non-GAAP type accounting, which doesn't include stock options, paying off people that are going away, whatever, they made 25 million, and that's profit. This is one of their first ones that they've had in quite some time. It's a big deal. So 1.22 billion is nice, but their guidance for next quarter is up another something like 23%. So they're expecting another $1.5 billion quarter, which they have not seen in ages, since at least they had their foundries, and those were kind of running underneath the company. So this is a huge turnaround from AMD.
And the first full quarter of Ryzen, they'll have, next quarter, we'll be talking about Threadripper Edition. We'll be talking about Vega Edition. We'll be talking about Ryzen 3 Edition.
Ryzen Pro.
Ryzen Pro. Yeah, I think so. Ryzen Pro will probably be shipping by then. So
Q4 is probably going to be the mobile Ryzen stuff. Their APU. They're not going to have desktop APU yet, as far as from what I understand.
I think if Robert's still in the chat, I want him to remind me what the specific number of product launches that are occurring this year.
He bailed on us.
Oh, he left? Okay.
That number was floating around, though, recently.
Well, from me, probably.
Yeah.
Because I was talking to some of their guys about in 2016 we did 5 product launches as a company, and in 2017 I think it was it was going to be 18 or 22 or something like that, some huge amount.
Sure feels like it.
As a person who I bet half of those boxes stacked in that corner are AMD centric stuff.
Yep.
Right. So, all right, earnings, they're good. Let's talk about something way more important though. Processor packaging.
Mm-hmm.
AMD.
You mean like BGA versus LGA versus?
Oh no, sir.
Oh,
boxes.
Big packages.
AMD teased the Ryzen Threadripper packaging by posting these 2 pictures on social media. This one right here, that as the Ryzen Threadripper package. It looks like it's got like a styrofoam border around it and the Eye of Sauron in the middle.
It looks like it's staring you down.
It does. It's like it reminds me of what's that? The Jurassic Park, where like the Tyrannosaurus Rex looks in the window with his one eyeball while the kids shine the light on it.
You set that down on the table in front of you, and there's a little thing that activates, and it says "You are not worthy," and then it stares you down.
If you look in the middle behind the Z, the processor is there.
Yeah.
So the CPU is inside this thing.
It's like
somewhere.
hovering in the middle.
It's not big enough for a cooler. People who are thinking that there was like a water cooler embedded in this are kind of nuts.
No.
Unless maybe you take the processor out, they tell you to fill it with water, and now the whole thing becomes the radiator.
Yeah, liquid cooling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's how it works.
Mm-hmm.
And then for a little bit of scale, this is CEO Lisa Su holding the Threadripper packaging. And actually in this picture, you get a sense of like, it's not like this, you kind of look like it could be an inch or 2 thick. Right here, it's a deep package, right? Like there's a lot of space in there for stuff, I guess. Things and
well, we thought they were going to include a bracket for like other water coolers, right?
That's the rumor going around, that they're going to have brackets in there. I don't know, or maybe the coolers will have to have it
because isn't it a new thread spacing or whatever?
It is. Yeah, TR4 is a new thread spacing, so somebody has to answer that.
Yeah.
As far as I know, nobody's been selling or talking about like TR4 kits to buy on Corsair or anything like that, right, Ken? Like that's not like a thing we've seen.
I haven't seen any. There was that knock to us showing off.
We've got until
giant prototypes at Computex.
Oh yeah, we've got until early mid-August to get that figured out. So plenty of time, guys. Plenty of time.
Yeah.
There's not much else to say about this other than I think it looks cool. Ken did not like it, but he has since come around. Right.
Whatever.
I think it's cool.
To me, people have kind of called it that it looks like an old-time portable TV box with like 9D batteries in the back.
Looks like a Mac Classic.
Yes, it does.
So how long do we get until someone does a system build inside one of those?
Not long, but it definitely won't be a Threadripper system.
No, it will not be a Threadripper system.
Raspberry Pi, done.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. You put a Raspberry Pi in there, and you have display output and stuff.
Yeah.
That's actually kind of neat.
Just have
Right.
it looping that section of Lord of the Rings that shows the Eye of Sauron.
People would put a screen where that is, right? We
Exactly.
could probably do that, right? Get a 1x1 screen and kind of mat it in there. I could see that happening. Yeah.
I'd be more impressed if someone turns it into a ring box.
We've got that extra set over there needing stuff. That would be a good project for somebody who's not us to do and then send to me is what I mean.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like, I mean, that's clearly what we're talking about here. So that's pretty cool. Not much more to read into this other than it's clear by looking at this immediately that they spent a lot of time on it.
Yeah.
They're very proud of this product.
Yeah.
They understand the importance of this product, of having that flagship processor.
I mean, it's a CPU. There's only so much aesthetic you could put into the CPU itself, right? So, so put some in the packaging, right? For their GPUs, like the
Vega
great.
Frontier Edition is a great looking card as well.
Yeah.
Okay, you know what I am most impressed of? Thinking of Threadripper and Epic and their highest clock speeds, because they do not have monolithic dies. It seems like they could have really improved. Well, I mean, they have the ability to get really granular with the amount of power delivered to each of the different dies.
Yeah.
And so, they're able to achieve these, the same base and boost clock speeds as the individual Ryzens at the top end. That's just neat stuff. Flexibility it's a nice thing. I can't touch my toes, but it's a nice thing.
I'm sure there are some people inside Intel who are like scratching their heads of why they didn't do a cool like packaging marketing thing with any of their HEDT parts.
Because
using glue on Doritos is no fun. They think.
Like, what does Intel's $1,000 or $1,500 CPU come in?
A cardboard, a thin
cardboard box,
it's like a brown box.
Looks like a box you throw away because you're using your computer.
Oh, it's just the blue box.
No, and I think the Core i9, the X series is black box.
Yeah,
but I mean it's just a box.
At the end of the day, it's just the box the thing came in. So
indeed. But this will be on a shelf.
Yeah.
But chances are, if you spend $1,000 on a Core i9, you're also going to put that on the shelf, even if it doesn't look as good. That's just the mentality I have. Also, so we talked about AMD's big things in their packaging. Let's talk about their small things
in their packages.
I mean, Jeremy, what was this story over at the Inquirer about?
Mark Papermaster, the CTO for AMD, did a talk, sort of discussing how AMD is going to be moving towards a 7-nanometer node, and how they're not going to be immediately jumping into that, because, well, it's a small company. Everyone's sort of working on the same stuff at the same time, so they've got to find ways that they can shrink stuff that is going to work across the entire product line. And so part of what he got into is what he was calling 2.5D chip stacks, which is essentially describing the way that they're leveraging interposers right now, especially on Threadripper, but on some of the other platforms as well. And I mean, even HBM sort of ties into that, where you can get smaller features more densely packed without having to completely switch to EUV immediately to get down to 7-nanometer. So it's an interesting little talk. The whole video isn't available through that link, but I'm sure if you dig around, you can find it. Josh might have even watched it. I don't know.
I didn't watch it, but I read about it.
He didn't watch it, 7-nanometer on TV.
What's that?
Play one on TV.
Sure, why not?
He's doing that right now.
Here's the problem with 7-nanometer. You got different guys with different definitions of what 7-nanometer is.
Right.
And so Global Foundries, they've got one definition. TSMC's got another. TSMC apparently is quite close to their 7-nanometer implementation, but we have no idea what that compares to in terms of actual dimensions and performance as compared to what Intel's 10-nanometer is, or what Global Foundries 7 nanometers and Samsung. So you got to take a lot of this with a grain of salt. But what we do know is that they've got to do like quad patterning on these, and that makes design a whole lot more interesting. And by interesting, I mean really stinking hard.
Yeah.
So it's, yeah, there's no doubt that, you know, you can have some simple chips going on 7 nanometer and doing some test stuff, you know, today. But doing anything really complex, it takes a lot of design work. It takes a lot of development. It takes a ton of money going in between these guys, Global Foundries, TSMC, whoever, and the people who design these ASICs. It's just so much development. You remember back in the day when, I'm trying to remember. I think it may have been 130 nanometer.
Okay.
Where they had the vias that would just disconnect, that they'd have voids in there when you started applying electricity and current through these voids would migrate, and they would actually disconnect portions of the chip.
Nice.
And they would just stop working.
Huh.
And the stuff that we're dealing with now makes that look like child's play. So it's you know, it's fascinating stuff, and it's no wonder why new fabs and any kind of new process technology literally takes billions of dollars to create. But it's worth it in the end, because we're talking, you know, ARM is planning on shipping what, 1 billion chips this next year.
That seems like a lot.
Yeah, it's a ton.
Not for ARM.
And I mean, IoT, PCs, tablets, cell phones, everything we have requires these chips, and you're just producing a ton of them. The faster you can get to these lower processes for these bigger parts,
right,
the more you're going to sell, and everybody's happy. But boy, the cost of getting there is impressive.
That's not me paying for it.
No.
Before we move on, we do have 2 more patron things to land on here.
Speaking of paying for it,
Pure Havoc, indeed, edited his pledge from $5 now to $20. So Pure Havoc, that's his third mention, but he's 3, 5, now 20. That's great.
He's playing havoc with your bottom line.
He is. That's fine. If he wants to go higher, that's fine.
As long as it keeps going up.
You gotta at least be in there for a full month, though. I gotta get you in there for a full month at this rate. Don't back out on me now. And then David edited their pledge from $5 to $6.99 as well.
$6.99?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Isn't it
And
incredible?
thank you.
All right. Build your own water cooling loop with the EKWB L360 kit. Jeremy, you wrote this up. This is a story over at Modders Inc. What was interesting about this?
I mean, overall, it was just more or less a decent water cooling kit. Not an all-in-one, but one that you've got to do yourself. But the one nice thing that they did about it, which Modders Inc. didn't actually get a chance to test, was you can add a GPU cooler to this loop, and they've actually got a pump strong enough that you can add a second radiator to it. So that makes it, you know, a little bit more interesting than your average water cooling kit, because
Gotcha.
most of them, I mean, the head pressure is not good enough that you can do 2 radiators. This one, they're saying, no, if you're going to do a GPU kit, first, we'll happily sell you one. And second off, toss a second 360 mil radiator on there, and it's still going to run perfectly well. So apart from that, I mean, EKWB has been around for a very long time for water cooling.
True.
So you've got a good idea what the quality is going to be from them.
Yeah.
Apparently it was like 1999 when they kicked off. And if you were water cooling in 1999, let me tell you, you were edgy.
We also have a new challenge on the SSD world, the Toshiba XG5, which is a M.2 NVMe storage
SSD
thing.
Yeah. It is a storage thing. It's using their
There's
the
some
new
chips on it and
There's
stuff.
just some chips on it. Well, inside those chips is the new it's a BiCS 3
lighter.
No, not a lighter. 64 layer
A
NAND.
big switch.
So it's Toshiba's like 3D NAND.
Okay. All right.
64 layer NAND. And I mean the NAND pretty much determines in a large degree how fast an SSD goes, as far as like usually the flash is the limitation on your write speeds and stuff like that, right? The controller is also, you know, an issue, like depending on, you know, slower SSDs. Sometimes the firmware is not that great on the controller or whatnot. But XG5 looks pretty strong, actually. So Jeremy put the article up pointing to the tech report review. We have an XG5. We've done all the testing on it. Just our review's not live yet, but results look really good. And I agree with tech report's results as far as like our results match up, right? Like it's pretty close.
Not quite a 960 Pro or Evo, but
it's close.
Damn close.
Yeah. And it's close even in our like mixed workload tests, and like, you know, we have some tests that kind of even put the driver under even more stress than like typical reviews do, right?
Right.
Still looks good, even in those tests. And another thing that looks really good on it is our trim speed results, which previous OCZ/Toshiba drives have done very badly on. Like when you issue trim commands or you delete files, like the drives will hiccup and stutter and stuff like that. The XG5 actually is doing better than Samsung drives in some respects on those tests. So like, you know, nipping at its heels, and in some places, you know, beating it. So interesting. It's good stuff. However, you can't buy the drive.
It's an OEM drive?
It's an OEM only drive. Now, now realize,
can you buy it like aftermarket type of thing?
I mean, you might, I'm sure it'll pop up on the aftermarket, but like it's not a retail product. It's meant to only be, you know, in OEM devices. Now granted, Toshiba usually has the OEM part, and then at some point in the future, hopefully they'll be the same exact part, just, you know, rebranded under OCZ as a retail part, right? So it'll probably show up as a Revo Drive something. Right, like an RD, you know, there was an RD400, maybe this would be like an RD500 or something.
Okay.
You know, and once that happens, if it happens, then you can more easily obtain it. I think, you know, I was recommending to them right off the bat, like they should be also producing it as a retail drive if it performs well, and it performs well. So it's silly to have something that's like a great performer out there, but, you know, power users and enthusiasts would have to go find some laptop that had it in it and then take it out and put it in their desktop. That'd be kind of silly. Right?
Totally worth it.
And it's not like your OWC back in the day when you owned all the Apple stuff.
Yeah.
All right. Pure Havoc bumped up to $30.
Well,
he's digging a hole of positivity.
He's really, man,
for our website.
He's just going for a record. Listen, you've already beat the record on how many times somebody.
Oh yeah. Got mentioned per episode.
That record was like 1.
Yeah, that's so maybe 2.
He'll drop it down to $1 after the show.
Yeah. Then you'll get a negative mention.
Well, no, he should do it during the show, so you have to announce it.
Oh, yeah.
Asus unveils flagship X370 ROG Crosshair 6 Extreme. This is an AM4 board for your Ryzen 7 5 III, I guess, but I wouldn't recommend it. So this is a pretty high-end board. It's an eATX motherboard, so you know that means you're going to have a serious amount of crap on it. Sorry. 12-phase DigiPlus VRM, a whole bunch of expansion and storage slots, including dual PCIe 3x16, a 3 by 1s, 2 M.2 slots, 8 SATA ports.
So is that LED lighting on the back, or is that just their effect?
It looks like LED lighting on the back.
It is. And not only that, but look at that ATX power connection.
It's right
it's
angled.
On its side.
People have asked for that for a while, and I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
But I forget, I think I asked somebody once, it was probably JJ, why they didn't do that. And there was something about...
It's easy to pry off.
Do you notice how deep that is and how many connections it likely has so that you can't pry it off?
Is that a bet?
Sounds like a challenge.
Yeah, have JJ send you one and you can have the ATX challenge.
Yeah.
Where do I shove my Threadripper processor, though?
Anywhere.
You got to snap it in half first.
You put it in one of the by 16
You got to get
slots.
a C-clamp. And a lot of solder.
Yeah.
It has.
The bloody thing has 16 fan headers.
Whoa,
What?
really?
13 of them are on the board. There's another 3 you get with an add-in card.
In case you needed
wait.
3 more.
That's gotta be reversed.
No.
Really?
Why would you have an added board to
dedicated-
give you
you
3
got a
when you already have
dedicated pump
13?
header.
Yeah, it
You
doesn't
got
make
two
sense.
groups of 4 right close to each other so that you can actually do your rad properly. Right? So everything
Enhance.
is going towards one little spot for your radiators. And
Yeah, okay.
There's a
the
block
rest
of them.
just sort of go like, look at them. It's insane.
There's a whole block of
Yeah,
them
there's a whole
here.
block on the bottom.
Wow.
So they put them in the places where you'd want them if you had like a rad
There's
up
one
top and a rad down
there.
below. And
That's cool.
All
Yeah.
right. All
No,
right.
that was the one thing I took away from this where I'm like, holy shit, that's insane, but you did it very well.
I just don't get the add-in only giving you 3 more.
Yeah, why does the add
You need more than 13.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess.
There has
but-
I think that's
some-
more of a there's something there's a cable that's too short, or there's something I got to do that just needs an extra 3. Because I mean, an extra 360 mil radiator only needs 3 pins, right? Or well, 3 headers.
Good
Yeah.
lord, it's got the ESS Saber DAC attached to the audio. That's a pretty high-end unit.
well,
They
you know.
didn't screw around with this board.
How much is this board?
No, they did not.
Do we know?
They didn't
It's not going to be
say.
cheap.
Let's see.
It's going to be over $300.
Is it one of those where
Yeah,
they-
$350?
the Crosshair 6 Hero, which is a step down, is 245 or 270 if you get it with the AC Wi-Fi. So another $100
This one's
over
about
that.
350.
probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money.
For AMD, like it's just great to see. Even though we know these are low volume parts, like these types of parts for AMD
They need to
systems
exist,
is great.
yeah.
That's great. All right, one more news post before we get to our picks. This is another USB standard that I don't know anything about. Jeremy, what in the hell are you talking about?
I am really, really looking forward to now typing out in every laptop review USB 3.2 Gen 1 Type-C.
USB
Although-
3.2 Gen 1 Type-C.
Yes, and I'm assuming the Gen 1 because we've already got USB 3.1 Gen 1 and Gen 2. Some are Type-C, some are not.
Why didn't they just call it Gen
In this
3?
case, thankfully, they're all going to be Type-C.
Huh.
So we've at least got that out of the way.
What will I do with my printer, though?
You'll throw it out and beat it with a baseball bat like you should. Because
Yes,
that's what
yes.
printers deserve.
Correct.
So the big trick with this is that they've doubled the transfer from 10 gigabits to 20 gigabits. And they've done that by allowing USB to take over all 4 wire pairs. Because before they only just did the 2. Thunderbolt would use the 4, DisplayPort would use the 4, but USB stuck itself down to the 2. So by opening it up for everything, boom, you can now hit 20 gigabits. I couldn't.
It's a gigabit.
I didn't. Yeah, blah blah. I didn't have enough time to check out if it still is able to deliver power if you're using data for it. My assumption
I
is
wouldn't
yes.
Yeah,
know.
I
I
mean,
would
I'm sure it
assume.
would.
Yeah.
You ought to remove those features they've added.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's hard to remove. But so now we've got
If they,
another
if, they,
USB
if
standard.
they made one that didn't have power, it'd probably be USB 3.05, right? That way you know it's a regression from 3.1 and it
Let's
had
have
slightly less
another
power.
one.
Yeah, 3.05 is basically the same data but with no power. Yeah.
Yes.
You probably can't do 20 gigabits. I almost screwed up and said like Jeremy. And power. And power. Because if you're using all of the wire pairs.
Yeah, that's why I'm thinking they've got all 4
You
wires.
probably can't
I
do
don't
20
transfer.
gigabits and display and power, but you can
I
do
don't think
20
they're-
gigabits.
I don't think they would use a wire pair, a power pair for.
They're
data,
saying
though.
they're using all 4 pairs, which
I guess.
implies
Yeah.
I don't know.
there are only 4 golden fingers in there.
No, there's more than that.
All right, before we get into our hardware software picks of the week, 2 Patreon notes here. Raw Banana just pledged $3. Thank you, Raw Banana. And Pure Havoc comes in again at $50, going from $30 to $50. Pure Havoc doing great things, supporting us and this wonderful show. I mean, clearly this must be the best episode of the podcast we've ever
We're
done.
gonna be-
I think we can make it to 100. Do you think we can
We're gonna
make it
be-
to 100?
Listen, we're gonna be checking the Patreon specifically for this guy.
Oh, yeah, for sure. No, I get email notifications on all this
Yeah.
stuff.
Okay.
So do we need to like open up in lower third and have like sponsored by?
So we need a new.
That's true.
There you go. There's our
So
new
here you
level.
go. If you for $100 a month, this episode of the PC Perspective Podcast is brought to you by
Yeah.
dude
Pure Havoc.
name. Oh, you said you can't say
It could be
'cause
him.
Now they can capture our voices.
It could be
and
him.
synthesize it back into place.
Yeah, they just cut it together, and
Exactly.
they already got it for.
Oh, darn.
They can put it on their trophy case of audio files. Let's move into our hardware software picks of the week. Up first is me, and my selection is a device that we've needed for a while around here, and as it turns out. And we just got one in. This is the Tech. It's just Tech Orbits. I don't know what that brand means.
Well, yeah, but
necessarily.
it's deprecated. I mean, it's only 3.1, man.
Yeah, it's already
God,
it's already
you're
out of date.
right.
It's out of date
Gotta get
already.
another one. This is a USB 3.1 Type C and Thunderbolt port compatible converter to DisplayPort, full-size DisplayPort. It's basically, if you have a USB Type C port on your laptop, you can convert it to DisplayPort, hook it up to a laptop, or to a monitor that way.
Is this an active?
No.
No, it's all passive because
just,
DisplayPort comes through USB 3.1
Okay. Which is why this
and
cable.
Thunderbolt.
Well, it's on sale, but which is why it's $7.
Yeah, I think
That's pretty cheap
I
for
think
it.
that's all I paid was $7.
Yeah.
For it as well. So
It's one of those things that when you need it,
Yeah.
and you can't really cobble anything else together.
we have a specific need for it because we get a lot of devices in here that we're always testing and trying to check out. You
Now-
wouldn't need this out there until you buy a laptop or device that has USB 3.1 Type C. Like
Yeah.
if you have a desktop motherboard with Type C, you really don't need this because you're going to have a graphics card in it. You're going to attach your monitors there.
But you're not even guaranteed that it will pass it on a desktop system.
That's true.
Right? Like,
If it's Thunderbolt, it will.
right.
And if it's USB 3.1,
It doesn't have to.
doesn't have to.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
So just caution for those that
But
have a desktop
you
system and
wouldn't
go.
need it.
I can
because
plug
you'd
in
have
that
a
fifth
dis-
display.
All of our new Dell laptops at work have the C connection.
Yeah.
That go to the brick that has all the video outputs
Yeah.
and the
Big
power.
dock.
Do you like
So
those?
yeah. They're handy, but they've got a couple of little bugs.
Yeah, we have one of the
Yeah, you're gonna
Dell
be starting to
Thunderbolt
play with that
3
too.
docks in. I'm not a big fan. It's
Really?
not been a seamless experience.
Well, the HDMI
Yeah.
port on one of ours keeps flash. Well, multiple of ours keeps just flashing on the dock.
Oh, like the
So-
screen image is flashing.
Yeah.
Correct.
That's
Did you get the new driver?
New driver, new firmware.
Yeah,
No.
lovely.
Have you tried turning it off and back on again?
I have once or twice.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
No, I'm about to pick one of those up in the coming weeks to test out for work, and I'm not looking forward to it.
Oh, it'll be great for you. I'm
I'll
sure
deal
it'll
with
be
it
maybe
fine.
fine.
fix for
Users,
them.
I'm worried about.
All right.
It hurts my eyes.
Up next is Jeremy. And did you just send me to a landing page?
He did.
Well, no, it's a deal page.
Oh, okay. What do we got?
Roswell is having
Roswell.
a deal for some reason. Yes, Roswell. It's all UFOs. There are some decent deals on power supplies, some coolers, but hey, you know what else Roswell makes? Cookers.
Ooh, I can
If you
start
want
my
an air
own
fryer
Facebook cooking
or
show.
a halogen convection oven, it's all freaking on sale.
It's an induction
And a
cooktop.
wireless N150 Wi-Fi adapter.
Oilless, low-fat air fryer.
Induction
No way.
I'm
cooktops
telling you,
are expensive usually. Although that's just a single.
it's
But
$80.
like,
That's
Canadian.
what all of the like YouTube people and the Facebook people use for the direct down shot where they're doing the cooking and you find
Yeah,
it and it's
exactly.
What are we talking about?
Induction.
So it's $80
Induction
Canadian. I mean, if you want me
Yeah.
to buy some and send them
This
down,
thing. That's only like
no,
60
it's not
bucks.
that thing.
they have any rice cookers? That sounds like something Roswell might make.
They got a pressure cooker yet?
There's an air fryer.
No.
Is this different than the top of my stove?
It's just one of them.
It's just
Ind-
one
no.
external.
You don't
right?
have an induction
No, you
stove.
don't have induction. You have
electric.
yeah. It's just
like-
it's
so
just
that's the
you have
kind
a
that you can
ceramic
have the
top.
pot boiling and then take it off and lick it,
That's
and
an
it doesn't
actual
burn your tongue.
It's an actual induction coil.
It's like wireless charging.
Yeah. Except
So I can put my phone on it.
yes. Put your phone on that 1.8 kilowatt. It'll charge it in 3 seconds. But the problem is the fourth second is the
melt it
problem.
Oh, so you got to be quick about
You gotta
removal.
be really
yeah.
quick.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'll pay attention. I mean, if it's only 3 seconds, I feel like my attention span won't be Won't be
The
off like
fourth
that. That's
is
a
you
good
can
idea.
scramble an egg on it.
It's got 5 pre-programmed settings: hot pot, stir fry, fry, warm milk, and soup.
And see, there's no charge set.
What the hell? Polished A-grade crystal plate surface.
You know it.
Up to
So I
1,800
clicked on
watts.
it just to see, okay, maybe there's a power supply deal, and then I was reading through it, and I go, okay,
Nice,
no, this is just too
nice.
funny not to do.
Yeah.
All right.
And besides, some of these cookers are friggin' awesome. Like the air fryers are impressive.
Yep. All right. What do we got up next? Josh.
I don't know. What do we have?
You got a
next?
monitor?
I do. You know, I've been looking at this, and then it came on special, and I was thinking it for the wife. She's got a 25-inch right now. It's a 29, even though it's the same, 25 by 1080 screen. It's FreeSync, IPS. Gosh, and it's $20 off. So it's what, $249 minus 20, so $229 for a pretty nice adjustable screen. That's gonna be good for a lot of different folks. I'm just
Nice.
I need to win the lottery so I can just buy more of these things.
Everybody needs to win the lottery for a lot of reasons.
We all do.
It's true. If they would just give us all the money, it would be fine.
Give us the monies. It would.
Alan.
Hey, so cheap hard drives. Really cheap hard drives.
If you're willing to do surgery.
10 cents a gigabyte.
If you want to do some, it's
It should be well
almost.
below 10 cents a gigabyte.
Okay, so the math on this deal comes to 2 cents per gigabyte.
Oh shit!
That's
2
5
cents
times
per-
less expensive than SSDs should be.
Then Ryan's
That's
law.
what they should be. So okay, so there is a drive called a Western Digital Easy Store. I believe it's only sold through Best Buy. 8 terabyte drive.
I think you're right. I think the Easy Store brand is
Easy
only Best
Store
Buy.
is, I think it's a specific Best Buy, like specific branding thing. They're normally like $300. Inside these drives, now this is subject to change. However, I
Currently.
don't think it's going to change anytime soon. And currently, what's inside these is an 8 terabyte RED. And I don't mean a white label drive, like their actual RED, like it's a red label drive with the regular product number, like model number of a Western Digital RED.
So you mean later than air?
As a matter of fact, it's actually a newer SKU of the RED. In other words, it is the body, the newer body style and newer electronics that are present in the 10 terabyte HE10 and oh yeah, there you go.
The
That
red 10 terabyte.
That's the newer body style. So in other words, it's like the label looks a little different. The face is more like square.
Looks like a hard drive.
They
It
seem
looks
to
like- it looks like a
cut
hard
some of
drive,
the
yeah, but
edges off.
It's a slightly different form factor of the drive. Basically, it's just a newer revision to the hardware, right? So if you're going to buy hard drives, you might as well get the newest version.
You have to shuck them.
You have to
You
void
do
your
have to-
warranty.
you do have to. It doesn't void the warranty.
You sure?
Because anybody that does data recovery on these things, they have to shuck them to do data recovery before they do, attempt to do their return. Right? So it's like,
Okay, so don't break the enclosure.
if you take the serial number of this drive that's written on the label and you type it in, like it's just, that's it.
You could just
It
RMA
matches.
it that way.
You can RMA it that
Okay.
way. Yeah. Anyway, so $160. These drives, look up an 8 terabyte RED.
They're 270, I think. Is that right, Jim? Didn't we see the 260? They were
They
over
were
300,
over
and
300.
now they're on sale for like 270.
Yeah.
Or they're down to 270.
Yeah.
So you're still saving like $120, $100 per drive.
Yeah.
That's because that 256 meg cache version is probably going to hit the channel for the bare drives.
And it will be the higher cost.
right. So because the ones
Right.
that are on sale for 270 are the old.
Or the
128
128 meg. Gotcha.
Yep.
Now we have noticed there is the mix of the 128 meg and the 256 meg in the channel for the external drives currently.
Okay, yeah, so some more points on that. If you order these online, I think they limit you to 2.
I got 3 last time.
That was last time.
Okay.
So now they're more limiting online. However, in store, and I verified this myself because we just bought a few because we're going to be building an array for the office at some point here. But in the store, on the placard, and even the fact that I bought 4 of them from a store, does not appear to be a limit from in store.
Oh God.
Yeah, it's 2 online.
So if you walk in the store and there's just a shelf full of them, and in my case, I hit a couple of
And
stores in town
also,
here.
you happen to need 13 hard drives at any given point in your life.
The stores tend to not like.
Well, we're talking about Alan here.
They're so cheap,
Yeah, he
though.
does.
The stores tend to not stock like that many, but like I saw like 8 or 9 of them on the shelf at the store.
Here in Florence?
There was like 6 on the one here in Florence, and then
Well, you
like
went to multiple Best Buys.
I went to a couple of different ones because I was looking for the older version because I already have a bunch that I'm going to put in an array. So that's another data point.
Finding
Actually,
GPUs for sale, Alan.
all of the ones that I saw. So Jim, you just ordered some online.
They canceled that order.
Oh, they canceled that order. Okay. So the last time there was a sale, which was like
Fucking Walmart.
which was like 3 weeks ago or something.
Yeah.
It was hit or miss if you get the old version or the new version. Now, every drive I saw, and I think I checked like maybe 30 of them total, they were all in the new version.
Ah.
So nobody had the old one anymore. So you're going to get this new version of the drive.
And it doesn't really matter.
But check the part number.
Yeah, so the first character in the part number, if
So
it
on
starts...
the bottom of the box, pick it up when you're at the store.
Yeah, the bottom of the box.
And you'll check. There's a number that's labeled DCM, and then a part number of letters. You want the first letter to be M
Yep.
or higher.
Yep.
The L's are the 128 meg cache version.
Yep.
Unless you're
Which
specifically
ultimately,
looking for that.
it doesn't really matter.
This is some
like-
scientific
No,
discovery
but here's the thing.
bullshit
If you're
going on
building,
right
if you're
here.
going to put an array
Yeah.
of them together, you should try to match drives. Like, you know...
It's not gonna.
But it won't. I mean,
not
it
gonna
really
matter.
wouldn't matter that much.
Sure, but if you have the choice... Like if,
sure,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah. But if you put a 128 meg and a 256 meg in an array, it's
It's not
going
gonna
to
blow up.
Bad things are not going to happen, but you know, if you're buying them and you have the choice, you be a little bit more informed. The more you know,
he
right?
can have
Like,
them.
anyway, so $160, that's damn cheap
Yeah, I agree.
for 8 terabyte drives.
I
you know.
just, I'm just glad you guys are here to store things for me, so I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah. Where?
We
Wait,
don't have enough.
Right,
Yeah, we
that's
don't-
Gotta
fine.
get
That's
down
fine. Start downloading.
that's true. Yeah.
Fill the things. We're gonna get that Steam cache server up
Just
and running here.
cat dev null to the file,
Right.
and you're fine.
Yeah. Exactly.
That doesn't work the way you expect it to.
All right. Last, I guess this is Alex.
It is.
These
It
are
is.
pictures of guns. You're trying to get my podcast taken off.
Oh,
No,
they're
no,
not guns.
no. I would never. So this is a bullet bouquets. I actually got this from my wife a couple years ago, but I brought it back up because now you can get etched ones. These are spent ammo into a water tank, and they just basically shoot it into a big water tank, and then they make these bouquets out of them. So, like for people who have
What in the hell am I looking at?
They're bullets.
These are bullets that look like flowers.
yeah, they're hollow
Yeah.
point bullets.
yeah.
That's what a hollow point does.
But they're very small.
It expands.
Yeah. The
I
idea.
got it.
flash.
I got
Those are the
it.
ones that when they
I
come
was-
out,
I was
the back
trying
of
to-
Some of
you.
them are 45s. They're not very small.
I was trying to figure out if the gun, like
I
in
have
this
3
picture,
expended. Well,
No, the gun is not that big and the bullet that small.
that's what
okay?
I'm looking at. And
No,
I'm like,
no.
what
It's just
the
a picture
hell?
of the gun behind it, like, or something.
Yeah, that's the real gun behind it, but
Yeah,
it's a
that's-
small
wait, it is?
revolver. You're
Like-
saying, Josh?
Hold on.
no, it's just the actual
Yeah,
bullet
that's the
itself
gun
is-
behind it. But
it's
the other
not
one,
big.
That's
okay.
small.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean they're tiny. I mean it sits on your desk. It's not
It's a
like
small
it's a.
flower pot.
It's it's. Oop.
Just
Happy
look,
Father's
those,
Day.
look at those are
Bullets.
the okay. So
I mean,
look on,
it's-
look at
it's
the
this
I love you,
big.
Dad.
look at
you
the
know,
bottom of the pot.
3 for your chest, or maybe 2 for
No,
your chest.
look at
one
what's
for your
in the
head.
bottom of the pot. Okay.
Shells.
So there's your shells.
Yeah, there's the spent casings in the bottle.
So that's for perspective of size, right?
It's beautiful.
Seems like a waste of ammunition to me.
I know.
Buy one for the wives.
I did buy
Oh,
one
no,
for the
no.
wife. She
Go
loves
for the
it.
one that says "Hell hath no
Tell
fury
someone
like
you're
a
sending
mother's
them a bullet.
45."
Hey,
Beware of mom.
that could be a mess.
Yeah, yeah. Sending
He's
somebody
gonna be
a
sleeping
bullet.
with the fishes.
Yeah,
Now you're talking.
No,
yeah.
Yeah, you can
Where's
select
the
what
6 blooms.
Yeah, you can select what kind of blooms you want. You can get 40,
change the
45. It doesn't change the picture.
It's 36 blooms.
That's too many blooms.
So everybody out there,
Give me the
ask your
ACP.
significant other what kind of round they prefer for their bullet bouquet.
Lead-free bobby pin.
Yeah, you don't really want to be wearing lead, as a general,
Yeah, does bad
pro
things.
tip.
Yeah.
They're all coated, so like there's actually like a clear acrylic on top of it.
I'm offended that this picture,
So
just because it's for Mom's
oxidized.
Day, has a pink gun behind it.
Well, but it's purple.
People
That is
like that.
sexist.
Hey, I know a woman who does use that purple Glock, and she's amazing with it. So
Do you think that's purple? I think
It is
that's
purple.
That's purple.
It's a deadly weapon, man. What do you care what color it is? It's still gonna kill you.
When they're pointing at you, you laugh at them.
No, it don't work that way.
Okay.
Ah, what are you gonna do with that pink gun? Shoot me?
Bang.
What's that famous last words? What are you gonna do? Shoot me?
Man who was shot.
Oh man.
Yep.
All right, that's gonna end the show. We really want to thank everybody for an amazing, probably the most popular episode in the history of the PC Perspective podcast. Pure Havoc has edited their pledge to $100.
There you go.
I told you.
$50 to
There we go.
$100.
Told you we could make it.
Oh no!
Just have to believe.
So say the words.
Thanks for all the work, man. Now I
He
got to
hasn't paid yet.
Oh.
If only
you gotta
he
wait
would have
for-
said on
You don't pay immediately.
Oh
99.99.
yeah. So it's only effective.
Right.
Once
It's
the
gotta
payment
be.
actually
It's gotta
happens.
be like. So I think there's a setting in Patreon where you can say once somebody pledges, they get charged immediately, and then the next time they wait for the beginning of the month.
And we're not using.
I don't
that.
think we're using that because that wasn't the default when we set it up, and I don't know how to change it, to be honest with you. But that's okay. Thank you very much, Pure Havoc. You're an awesome person, and if you want to come down here, Kane will give you a hug. It'll be totally worth it. So.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us.
Loyal.
PCPer.com/podcast is the URL to go to find our back episodes, our RSS feeds, our video files, the show notes, links, all the stories we talked about. All that kind of crap is available there. I have a lot of stuff to do between now and 9 a.m., so we will see you next week. I'm Ryan Shrout.
I'm Jeremy Hellstrom.
I'm Josh Walrath.
And I'm Alan Malventano.
Murmur.
What?
Do you
So
even
hugs
like,
from Ken?
do you even like Pink Floyd?
What?
Something more.
Okay.
Wait, you
I
don't
was
like
just-
my shirt?
I like your shirt. I like it a lot.
So this shirt, if we can, I don't think I've ever worn this on the show before. I don't think I've worn it.
I think I've worn it in
I'll
the office,
see
though.
you on the dark side of That's Not a Moon.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
I wore this. So the first time I wore this was at Disney World in May, and I was as we were in the hotel room and we were getting dressed. And I told Kelly as I was putting, she was like, I really like this shirt. Like I kept talking about it all morning. I was like, I'm a big fan of this shirt. She's like, okay, nerd, I get it. And
Right.
that was the day we went to Universal Studios, and she kept count after the first one. No less than 8 people stopped me to say, that's a really great
where did you
shirt.
get
Where
that
did you
shirt?"
get that shirt? And I was like, sorry, can't tell you. Because actually I forgot. But also, sorry.
I mean, I'm sure you can Google.
It's not a custom shirt. I'm sure I bought it. And
Death
I'm sure
Star
I
of
did
the
it.
Moon.
I did exactly that. Death Star, Pink Floyd, T-shirt, whatever, and I'm sure I got it. And there's multiple versions of it because I've seen a different version that has a more detailed.
Oh, look at that. That one's got the actual.
Yeah, but it might. Is it an actual T-shirt or
Oh,
is it just a
this-
picture? There's
Doesn't
one
have
that
the
has like a
plans.
very
Can we
detailed
download
picture
them?
of the Death Star, which I didn't like
That's
as
like,
much.
That's like it's shooting.
Yeah, I don't. I think the extra detail does a disservice
Yeah,
to
there's
the.
yours. T-Public.
Okay,
See?
Xmas.
What the hell kind of a rebel
nice
are
shirt,
you that
thank
doesn't want extra detail with the Death Star?
Because it makes.
Oh man, there's one with a vector.
You don't want
Death Star on it.
detailed drawings on a T-shirt. It's gonna screw it up. And yeah, that one that linked in the hip chat is exactly that. There's too much detail there. It's not like.
Linked in the hip chat or the chat?
I'm sorry, in the chat. It's still a good shirt, but it's not the same. And also, the rainbow's not coming out of a Death Star part.
Yeah, it's the wrong.
I don't like
It's
that
going the
one.
wrong way.
Yeah, that one's
It's
backwards.
the Jedi one, and yeah.
This was Ryan's response to people.
See there. See there. It's like
Yeah,
it's like
That's-
making the. It's a little different than
that
yours.
one looks crappy.
Yeah. This one's yours.
That's a bad drawing.
That one's yours. T-Public
Yes,
one.
Correct. Dark side of the Death Star, they call it.
Ha,
At least in
yes.
that one. I thank you.
Still really dark
I'm
side
glad.
of
I'm
That's
glad
Not a
that
Moon.
Anthony is in there to get these gifs of me and stuff. Did you see the? He just posted a gif of me.
Yeah,
That's
pretty good.
This could save your life.
pretty good.
Wait.
No, not that.
That is not.
That's the wrong link.
That
you
is
done
not
clicked,
the right
sir.
link.
I like that. It's pretty good. I'm gonna. Can I save that so I can send it to my wife? Like when she texts me crap. Can you send animated gifs in text?
Yeah. What?
Like
what?
custom ones,
Yes,
like ones you have
that's
saved
all- that-
locally.
That's all people do now. Send anime gifts to each
Yes,
other.
but I always
MMS
use the
is
GIF
for
search capability
crying out
of the
loud.
app I'm using. I'm
It's
not
just-
looking at a local file.
You can send the gift.
I need to find this immediately. All right, hold on. Somebody email me that link. Oh, Ragonk, 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 pledged 1111. Apparently,
Ooh.
just missed the cut on being on the actual total live stream of it.
We'll have to mention them next week.
I spent half this podcast, that middle section no one cares about, looking at, like, trying to search Craigslist for, like, used office chairs that are decent as opposed to squeaking
Pure
around.
Havoc wants me to tell you guys something about those hard drive things we're talking about. Apparently, some of them have blues in them.
Well, we haven't come across any.
He is apparently, I don't know if I want to say where he works exactly.
We have an awful lot of data points so far.
He apparently works, I guess,
At a Best Buy?
he posts, yes, he's in a repair department at Geek Squad. Not all the drives
Oh,
have
poor
this hard
man.
drive in it. Some have blues in it. Let them know.
Yeah.
He's had to do recoveries on this already. Serial number, yeah.
Is it a different letter for the blues?
I don't know. We'll see if he says
could be.
anything. But
Are we still streaming?
yeah, we're still on there.
Nice.
Yeah, nice. Yeah.
Man, donating. Wait, who was it that said it?
Pure Havoc. Same guy.
Same guy?
Same guy.
Donate $100 on a Best Buy salary?
Thank you, Anthony, for tweeting that at me. Now I can go do it on my phone and hopefully save that image.
Aha.
Do I have the twatters on this machine?
I'm sorry, what did you say?
Gross.
The twatters.
The twatters.
Sorry, what did you say? It's not sad that you work at Best Buy, Pure Havoc. People gotta have jobs, man. I worked at I worked at the I worked at the Geek Squad before it was called that. I worked at the repair
Nerd herd.
area.
Burps burps? What?
How do I?
Nerd
It won't
herd.
let me save this file. I'm
The nerd
pushing
herd.
down on my screen very deliberately.
We'll teach you how to smartphone later. It's fine.
No, it won't work.
Josh
You can
and I will
copy-
take you aside and teach you.
You can wait. What happens if you send the link?
Like I just clicked it.
If you send,
No.
text message me that link, Ryan.
Yeah. Text message
It
the
should
link.
pull in the inline preview, I think.
Yeah, I think it animates
Oh,
in
you
the
think
line.
so? Let's see. Oh, and I have to push it just the right pressure
Oh,
to
yeah.
get the copy to come
Are
up.
you sure it's not the 4 terabyte drives that might have had the blues in them?
There's that other.
Because I'm not sure
Western Digital
the blues go up to
The
8
My Book.
yet.
It's not my book, but it's not the
They
user
don't.
store, but it's a similar form factor,
Yeah.
and those definitely do not consistently have res. Those have
Right.
extra whatever.
But I don't think Best Buy sells the other. Oh, they do?
Because the first round, people were mistakenly buying those.
Oh.
My shirt is not wrong.
That shirt is wrong.
Take it back.
Yeah, the blues.
Yeah,
only-
it doesn't work,
it is in
Ryan.
my book. Yeah. So there's
What?
there's an 8 terabyte.
Doesn't
My
work,
Book.
right? Somebody send me that gift so I can send it to my wife like 3
Hold
times
on.
a day.
Hold on,
When she
I'm
texts
on
me
it.
something I don't give a crap about, I'm like,
And then half flip her off.
Yeah. I was super excited when Twit made stickers. They made like Twit has like iOS stickers, and there's one of just my face. Did I ever send it to you?
Yes.
I sent it.
horror.
I sent it to
The
Kim.
horror.
All right, here we go. Let me send it to Alan
There are
here.
Twit stickers.
Oh yeah.
The sticker
oh
pack?
yeah. Yeah. I don't remember how to do it. Hold on. Nope, that's not it. Here we go.
Twit, okay.
Ken Addison would like to.
I don't know. I'm just trying all these
I'm trying to
different
do
things
something.
now.
You just sent me a link to a website. Like I
Random.
get it.
I keep trying to.
Here we go.
Oh,
Here we go.
if it lets you, you have to drag it to the.
Boom.
Oh, it just sticks it right on the
It
dang.
wasn't working. Ryan, I was trying to do that. It's not a GIF on Imager. It's a
It's
movie.
It's a WebM or whatever they call it. Yeah.
You can't save a WebM.
So by this time next week, we'll know a lot more about Threadripper probably in RX Vega.
It just shows up on top of crap.
Yeah, just like over
it's gonna be
shows up on top of text.
But I can't even
It's-
read. No, I can't even read the text that's behind your head.
Can you like?
Can you drag it?
I think you can
Oh, well, that made it show up.
delete it or something. Yeah.
But then it keeps.
Now you got
but
my
then it-
face right
but then
there.
it pops right back.
So we'll know about RX Vega next week on next week's show, and Threadripper on next week's
It's
show.
like staring at me through the text.
I don't think
message.
reviews will be live, and I don't know what AMD is going to publicly announce by that point, but I'll be out in LA. If anybody's going to be at SIGGRAPH, I will be hosting a panel on Sunday morning, bright and early at 9 a.m., on the future of mobile graphics and VR.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's the future.
Sure.
We have somebody from Google. Who do we got? Qualcomm, ARM, Google, Unity, and Virtual Arts, which is a VR production house on the panel, and then me for some reason.
We need to frame that damn.
I'm gonna put it on the dry erase board. Not a high quality version, so he can tape it to the dry erase
It's an
board.
11.5 megabyte GIF.
There's a.
You should have it now, though.
If you ever watch CNN,
Mm.
there's like these, you know, in that exact view, they have these fancy like numbers scrolling by and crap like that, and there's like some Latin longs in there.
It's 11.
If you save it from there,
How
the
did you
phone
do
might
it?
compress it. I saved it on my computer and then text messaged it
Oh,
to myself.
okay. All right. Yeah, there it is. Wait. It doesn't animate when I look at it in photos.
Yeah, it does.
Good.
That's
Not
for
though.
me.
What are you flicking the screen for?
You're waking the computer up.
Like that.
I mean, it animates when I click
it
on it here.
works fine for me. The saved because I saved it
Save
from
image.
that same.
Is that the one if we almost give him the middle finger to?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's the one.
I didn't
You
see
didn't watch it that
part.
far?
That's
That's
why
why
I
it's
didn't
great.
watch it that
Nice.
That's what I'm saying. Are you
Yeah,
gonna
send that
almost
to
middle
Kelly.
finger your wife every
Stat.
time?
That was the best part.
Oh, yeah, I did not see
Oh,
that.
and I saw it. It was appreciated.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know why, but in photos it doesn't animate for me.
Maybe it's because I'm on iOS 11.
Yeah, he's fancy.
Let me try to send it to Alan.
He's on iOS 11 too.
Yeah, but if I
It
send
might
the
animate.
image, I just want to know.
I don't know. I might not be able to see it because I got a Ryan head over my freaking text messages now.
Yeah, the Ryan head moves up a little bit.
Oh,
the
great.
Ryan sticker moves
Right.
up.
When he first sent that sticker, it like didn't animate in right, so he just sent me a message and I was like,
It's
okay,
it
what?
animates.
And then
It's
it
animated
animated
right
in and I went,
there.
ow.
That's funny.
Oh man, I don't know if they're XMass. I don't know if they post the SIGGRAPH panels to YouTube or any place else afterwards because you have to pay to get in a SIGGRAPH. Like
Yeah.
it's very much a developer conference.
You're not able to republish your own.
No, I don't own the panel. I was just asked to moderate it. So.
Oh.
Bagoma asks, Ryan, make Raja drop the Vega price. The FreeSync is cheaper, doesn't help me. Oh yeah, we didn't mention that. We were I wanted to talk about Kyle's video that he posted.
Yeah.
So AMD
Yeah, I
had done
didn't
the
watch it.
Vega RX Vega tour, which was literally 2 stops of Budapest and Portland. Clearly the 2 hotspots of PC gaming in the world ecosystem.
Yeah.
Where they showed a GTX. They didn't say a 1080, did they? Did they say it was a
I
1080?
don't know.
I think they said it was a
There's
1080.
so many conflicting reports.
There's a 1080 versus an RX Vega on a Ryzen 7 1800X system with FreeSync and G-Sync monitors, and it was a Pepsi Challenge style. Like, can you tell which
Can
one
you
is
tell
better?
the difference?
Right.
Yeah.
And I think the general consensus was that you couldn't tell which one was better necessarily, so hence making the case that Vega is on equal performance level.
What game?
This is
1080.
not
I don't-
a good test.
What
I
was
don't
the
know what
game?
game they used in the tour.
They use Counter-Strike Source.
Great. Now, Kyle Bennett at Hard OCP, good friend, love him to death.
Yeah.
Apparently,
Salt of the earth.
very salt of the earth, man. Apparently, got a card from AMD that they hand delivered on Saturday morning, let him install. Well, they installed it into a system, installed a driver, and they took it back Saturday night because he set up like a similar Pepsi challenge and with his friends and people he knows who are gamers come over. And he actually used a GTX 1080 Ti in the system,
which doesn't seem like the card you.
Well, that's what he did because he said he didn't care what AMD wanted him to do. AMD wanted him to use a 1080 according to his story, and they ran Doom in Vulkan. And people, there was like, I don't know, let's say there was 9 people or 10 people, and 6 said they couldn't tell the difference, and 1 said the NVIDIA system was better, and 3 said the AMD system was better, and one of them.
Doom does a lot of good work to mask like differences in frame rate.
There's a couple issues I had. One, like first of all, to Kyle's
runs
credit,
at 150 frames per second
Doom,
on 1080
Doom
Ti
runs
and
super
Vulkan.
high anyway. Yeah.
But it does motion blur and stuff like that.
Correct, and the motion blur was on.
Yeah.
It's not the best game to use for that. And Kyle wanted to use multiple games, but he just didn't have enough time. Because he did like A, B, A, B. Like the person did A, then B, then A, then B.
It's just a really hard game to tell differences in FPS.
I would agree with that.
Until you get really low.
And he pitched it in the way that I would have pitched it, which was, hey, this is not a review. This is the one data point we were allowed to present that we had time to present. And if I was in his position, I would have done the exact same thing. I would have absolutely taken AMD up on their offer to hand deliver an RX Vega card, run this test, and do it this way. But like there was some stuff that one of the guys, Redwood, who used to be a huge name in gaming journalism and gaming press, said that the AMD system was like significantly better than the 1080 Ti. It was like night and day. And nobody else really said anything to that regard. And I was very confused by his statement, almost as if like there was something wrong with the system at that point, or the game didn't load correctly, because even AMD's now going out of the way to saying like, hey, we're going to be night and day better than a 1080 Ti.
Trust me, and they would say something.
If there was a chance for that to be the case, they would say that.
Yeah.
So everybody's experience is going to be a little bit different. But I
just can't imagine what would be so night and day different unless there was an actual problem. Like,
the Pepsi Challenge tests that they've been setting up and running are detrimental, I think, to the true nature of the performance levels of these cards, because yes, even though you're testing real world experience, and experience is what matters, and what you feel like you're doing when you're gaming is what matters.
Right.
If you're running it in a essentially VSync capped environment at 100 hertz, right, your game selection matters completely.
Right.
Like the benefit of FreeSync and G-Sync is that if you're running below the maximum refresh rate of the monitor, it still feels great. It doesn't feel like these games were doing that.
Right.
Right. Because if you're running a game at 70 versus 90, 70 to 100, one game's running at 70, one game's running at 100, you should be able to tell that difference, even with variable refresh in place. But if it's like 70 to 75 or 80, probably not. Right. So, and we've always known that the difference between a 1080 and a 1080 Ti is not the experience you get on a 25x14 monitor.
Right.
It is
you need to go higher than that.
What games can you go higher in, and like what future games will you be better prepared to run at a higher performance level?
And what games can you just crank the crap out of, like TXAA or whatever, like go way up on that.
So it's a really difficult thing to do, and experience-based testing I think is actually really important. But somebody in the chat, kind of in a joking manner, said you should take the RX Vega Frontier, or the Vega Frontier Edition, and compare it to a 1060, GTX 1060, and do FreeSync versus G-Sync, but like 60 hertz.
No. How about an RX 580 with the same panel?
Yeah. Right. And if it's smooth, it's smooth and it's fine. And then AMD kind of cuts off their own argument in that case, right? Because if that's
why would I buy a Vega over a 580 if
the experience is the same?
Yeah, because if it's smooth, it's smooth. Yeah. Right. So I think there's some issues with that, but tomorrow probably not tomorrow morning for me. Ryzen 3 launches. That's not a secret. July 27th was the embargo for that. I think it actually goes on sale tomorrow as well. My review probably won't be ready at 9 a.m., but sometime tomorrow we'll do that. And then I leave on Friday for SIGGRAPH / Qualcomm/AMD/panel, and then we're back. I'm back in the office on. I think I take the red eye out Monday night, so I'm back Tuesday morning, and then all hell breaks loose.
Yeah.
Another one of those months, eh, Ryan?
Another one of those years.
This has been a non-boring summer.
It's so odd because like one of the biggest players in the market, like has Nvidia released anything this year?
TI.
1080 Ti.
The TI, okay.
1080 Ti early
And
in
Max
the year,
Q
and that's it.
kind of counts in that.
Wait, wasn't there a refresh?
Yeah, but does that count?
Yeah, I guess that does count, but
They announced V100.
yeah, but we didn't test that.
Yeah.
That was
I
just
mean,
a
no
news
one's-
story to
yeah.
us. And Intel did 7700K this year. Was that this year?
Yeah.
The Kaby Lake launch was
Yeah.
this year,
It was
right?
around CES.
And then Skylake X, and we had new notebooks come out after CES, right?
No, notebooks were out before
Have you
CES, I
done
think.
Kaby Lake X yet?
I have not tested Kaby Lake X yet.
Nope.
That's an AT exclusive, apparently.
Of course. They're just not exciting parts to me. Like they'll probably be single-threaded best performance, but if your goal is to buy a Kaby Lake part, I would not tell you to buy Kaby Lake X. I'd tell you to buy Kaby Lake K and save a bunch of money and get the platform that fits it. But we got Threadripper, we got Vega, we got more Skylake X parts, we got all the Intel 8th gen stuff to talk through.
Someone
Got
might
some
drag us
SSDs soon
some
too, don't we?
servers like
Yeah, we've got Epic and
Xeon Scalable.
Xeon Scalable.
Yep.
Oh god, I'd sleep.
No.
No, apparently you can't.
So do you think Nvidia is just going to drop something as soon as AMD plays all their cards out?
No.
I don't
No?
think so. I don't think they.
They don't need to.
Yeah, I don't think they need to. They're
think-
still going to have Performance Crown, and I don't think. So, like, if they wanted to put AMD to the screws, they would lower some prices, but I don't think they really want to do that any more than they already are.
Lowering prices doesn't change anything right now.
Yeah. Everything's out of stock right
No,
now.
because we
Everything's
went
out of
through
stock.
True,
raining
yeah,
on
that's
each
true.
other's parades on launch day, and then we went through price wars, and now we're sort of sitting at a point where it's like, no, this is my product, buy it or don't.
The issue right now is
Which is kind of boring in a way.
who can ship the GPUs faster than the other company
Yeah.
at any price. is the
I
issue.
think-
I
They're
feel,
both
I
kinda
feel like
sitting in
that's
the same
dying off
place.
some, and I hope
Yeah.
it does.
I
I
think
look forward to the day to shut off that closet.
I think we see a new NVIDIA GPU by the end of the year.
Before the end of the year,
Yeah,
yes.
but what?
That it'd be very aggressive for them to meet that timetable, but I think we see one before the end of the
Well,
year.
so last year it was Pascal.
Would they go high performance or low
March.
power?
GP 100 was in March, and then we got
No.
GTX 1080 in May, right?
Okay, yeah.
I think that's right.
And then when did TI come out?
January or
No,
something.
it was after GDC.
Oh, so March.
Yeah, it was like
Okay.
Yeah, it
March,
was still
April this year.
Q1, but it
They
was
held on
early.
to TI for
No, it was right after CES. They had some.
No, they announced it at GDC.
Really? Okay.
Yeah,
Well, never
yeah,
mind
you're
then.
right. I was because I was there. I was there. Literally, the GTX 1080 Ti like launch event with Jensen at the feels like 3 years ago to me.
Because
Yeah.
you have been crisscrossing this globe.
I haven't flown anywhere for a couple of weeks now.
Yeah,
Where
How's
did
that
I
feel?
Boy,
Where's the last place I was
April,
at?
May, and June.
Austin.
Yeah. April, May, and June were a disaster. I'm going somewhere this weekend, and then the next trip is I take my daughter to Disney World, and then a week and a half after that, I'm going to New York, and then the only other one I
Your
know
wife
about.
kills you.
The only other one I know about is in late December or is in early December, so that's far enough out that it doesn't. Early
Doesn't
December-
exist.
Early December is so far away, it doesn't even come into my mind. Like, oh yeah, no. That's I don't have to worry about that for quite a long time. Somebody will book travel, I'll be fine. I'll be on a plane. It's not a big deal. All right, that's it for us, guys. We'll be back next week. We'll have a busy show for you next week. Probably a lot of information to talk about. I don't think we'll have don't think I'm breaking any rules here. I don't think we'll have reviews of products by next Wednesday. At least I hope not, because they didn't send me any damn parts yet.
Hey, I got a review of product.
Oh my God, Jesus!
Yeah.
What is happening to my life?
Well, I know.
Like just one, but it's a racing product, I assume.
Well, obviously.
Okay, that's it. Thanks everybody. Have a good night. Check out the website forever and ever.
Just keep refreshing it.
Yeah.
Maybe
If
something
you
new
can
every-
just set up your page to just hit refresh every 30 seconds, that's fine.
From a different IP.
I don't care. I call the reports anyway. It's fine.
Oh,
It's fine. Who cares? Don't artificially click the ads, but you know, things like that. Google will catch you. Good night, everybody.
Okay.
Bye.
Good night.
Good night.